Good morning, everyone. My name is Heather Vard. I am the chair of the board for the Girl Scouts of Southeastern Michigan, and I just want to welcome you to the 7th annual meeting for the Girl Scouts of Southeastern Michigan. Thank you for coming out in the cold and snowy weather to be here this morning. As we'll get to in a minute, we do have a quorum, and so I appreciate the fact that you were all able to make it here and attend this important meeting. We're going to start with an opening flag ceremony, so I would ask that everyone please rise, and members of our Girl Advisory Board will be conducting the ceremony.
Girl Scouts attention. Color Guard advance. Color Guard, please post the colors. Color Guard, honor your flag. Please join us in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by the Girl Scout Promise and Law. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. On my honor, I will try to serve God and my country, to help people at all times, and to live by the Girl Scout law. I will do my best to be honest and fair, friendly and helpful, considerate and caring, courageous and strong, and responsible for what I say and do, to respect myself and others, respect authority, use resources wisely, make the world a better place, and be a sister to every Girl Scout. Color Guard dismissed.
Thank you, girls. And now we have a quick video that we're going to show. That was a great video and a good reminder of everything that was done this year through the Girl Scouts. At this time, I would like to introduce the people that are sitting here at the head table. Would you please stand when I call your name? In order of appearance on the agenda, first we have Rhonda Orr, who is our board secretary. Next, Denise Dalrymple, our chief executive officer. Rick Sundquist, our board member and chair of our property committee. Diane Young, who is the treasurer as well as the chair of the finance committee. Pete Keating, who is the board member and chair of the board development committee. And very importantly, Connie DeFord, our parliamentarian that will make sure we follow all the rules today. I would now like to also introduce the board of directors that are currently present. Please stand when I call your name. So first we have Candace Foreman, Pete Keating, who's up here at the table, Rupali Lunani, Elaine Marcotte, Lisa Morse, Rhonda Orr, who's up here at the table, Kathy Ossian, Nancy Philippart is here as our previous board chair, Sarah Pobocek, Julianne Przinski, myself, Heather Rivard, Maureen Stapleton, Rick Sundquist up here at the table, Diane Young also here at the table, Maria Zardis, and then we will be installing a new board member shortly, Christina Eady. And then it also says that Joanne Yalvin, who's a past board chair, is here. She's with the archives. Oh, she's out in back. Okay. Thank you. I would also, I would also like to note that as I introduced Nancy Philippart, she was the board chair for Girl Scouts of Southeast Michigan from 2009 to 2015, and is in attendance and is a voting council member per our bylaws. We are now going to vote on the credentials report, today's meeting agenda, as well as the standing rules. And Rhonda Orr, our board secretary, will now come to the podium.
Good morning. There are 92 voting council members consisting of 18 members of the board of directors, 2 members of the board development committee, 1 past board chair, and 71 council delegates representing their districts. Per our bylaws, the quorum for the annual meeting shall be 25% of the members of the corporation, or 23 members, provided that a majority of the council region's 48 districts are represented by at least 1 delegate. We have 25% of the members of the corporation in attendance and a majority of the districts. Present at today's meeting are 76 registered members of the corporation and 27 districts represented by the delegates.
Thank you, Rhonda. The question is on the adoption of the credential report as just given. Those in favor of accepting the report, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say no. The ayes have it, and the motion is adopted. There is a quorum present. We're now going to move on to the revised meeting agenda. Rhonda.
I move that the revised annual meeting agenda available at the meeting be adopted. Is there a second? Is there any discussion? The question is on the adoption of the annual meeting agenda. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say no. The ayes have it, and the motion is adopted. I will now move that the standing rules for the annual meeting as shown in the workbook be adopted. Is there a second? It is moved and second to adopt the standing rules for the annual meeting. Is there any discussion? The question is on the adoption of the standing rules for the annual meeting. Those in favor, please rise. Okay, thank you. You may be seated. All those opposed, please rise. There are 2/3 in the affirmative based off of my visual. The rules are adopted. Thank you.
Thank you, Rhonda. If there's no objection, Barb Sosin will be appointed as the head teller for today's meeting, assisted by members of the Girl Advisory Board who will serve as tellers. Is there any objection? Since there is no objection, they are hereby appointed. Would Barb and her assistants please stand? Thank you. Okay, I'm going to now give my board chair report. And there we go. So I'm going to talk about our key priorities for the Girl Scouts of Southeast Michigan. And these priorities have really been in place since 2011. We have tweaked them, as I'll talk about in a minute, each year to keep them relevant and on track. And specifically, I'm going to talk about how we did against those priorities in the previous year, 2014-2015. But the bottom line is that the Girl Scouts of Southeast Michigan is very strongly supported by a very large network of volunteers, many in this room today, and that we are also in a very fiscally sound position, which Diane will be talking about later. We also continue to evolve and meet the challenges that we face here with our council. And I'm going to touch on that a little bit, but Denise is also going to get into that in more detail in her CEO report as far as what those challenges have been, what we project them to be, and how we're going to handle them going forward. It's also very important to us as a council that we stay aligned with the bigger mission, which is the GSUSA mission, and that we've been very clear and very good about staying aligned for many years with GSUSA and not going off on our own, so to speak. And that continues to be important to us and something that we will continue to do. So first, you might say, what is strategic learning? Because the title says strategic learning to date. And so back in 2010, 2011, GSUSA adopted for themselves a process called strategic learning, and they recommended that the councils across the country do the same. And strategic learning is not a process that GSUSA made up or that we made up. It's a process that was developed by Willie Peterson, who is a Harvard professor and has quite a long list of credentials that I won't go into. He's written several books on the subject. If you're ever interested in reading more about it, it's called strategic learning. And it's basically a process by which you look at your current organization, you look at where you're trying to go in the future, you assess the gaps between where you're at now and where you want to go in the future, and then you develop a 3 to 5 year strategy of how you're going to work to close those gaps. And so our council followed the strategic learning process with support from GSUSA back in 2010, 2011, and over 70 people from within our council, volunteers, girls, board members, were involved in this process. And out of that process, we developed 4 key priorities. And with those priorities, the overarching framework of each of the 4 priorities has not changed, but we tweak them each year depending on what challenges we're facing for the year. We are at a point now, since we did this back in 2010, 2011, that it is time to kind of do more of a full refresh, not just an annual tweaking of the process. And GSUSA is also embarking or has embarked and has been working on the same thing. And Denise is going to get into that more in her report in terms of where GSUSA is at with their update of the strategy, and then how we're going to try to follow along, if you will, and refresh our strategy. But in the meantime, as I mentioned, we've had 4 lasting priorities. They're listed up here, but they're listed in more detail on the next couple of pages, so I won't go over them right here. I will go over them on the next 2 slides. So one of our first priority was around resources. And for 2015 specifically, we wanted to make sure that we were allocating sufficient staff resources to increase membership, while at the same time making sure that we stayed fiscally responsible and stayed within our operating bounds. And I'll talk in a minute about our success in that area, but that was our first priority. And really, it boils down to making sure you have enough people to drive increases in membership or to decrease the amount of decreases in membership. The second priority is around, specifically for 2015, was around to continue increasing the number and the quality of series and events, including council-wide outdoor education events, to increase the participation in the national program portfolio, to serve the Juliet Network girls, and to lessen the burden on troop leaders. And I'll talk more in a minute about our success in that area. The third priority was around implementing the Customer Engagement Initiative as well as the Volunteer Toolkit, both of which are GSUSA-led programs that are pretty heavily technology-based. And the point of both initiatives is to better improve customer service and to better retain volunteers, because the program and the mission doesn't work without the volunteers. That's really what keeps it going. And so I'll touch a little bit on our successes in that area, but I think Denise and her team are also going to go into a lot more detail around what we're seeing and doing with the Customer Engagement Initiative as well as the Volunteer Toolkit. And then the fourth priority was to expand our communications, again, to attract new members and to retain members, and to support a positive view of Girl Scouting through very targeted marketing campaigns and a more personalized customer experience. So how did we do in the last year on these priorities? So first, from a resources perspective, we did a very good job of managing our budget and managing a balanced budget. And we also, at the same time, did a good job at maintaining and improving the properties that we continue to own and want to continue to own. Diane, when we get to her report, will talk more specifically about where we stand financially. And Rick will talk more specifically around what we're doing with the properties. We also wanted to fulfill our commitment to retirees, but also understand that the pension plan that still existed, the legacy GSMD pension plan, was a very large financial burden, especially in future years, on this local council. And so we needed to figure out a way to properly handle the pension plan, but at the same time fulfill our commitment to our retirees. And I believe Diane is going to talk a little bit, and maybe Denise a little bit, about how we did that and what that ended up looking like. But we did accomplish what we set out to accomplish on that. And I can't emphasize enough, Rhonda, as the lead of the pension committee, and her team did an outstanding job bringing that to closure. And the impact, the positive impact that will have on this council for years to come financially is incredible. So maybe a round of applause for Rhonda and the team. Another important accomplishment this year around resources is we did invest in the customer engagement platform and the volunteer toolkit, both of which are, I think I maybe got ahead. Yeah. We did invest in both of these initiatives that are GSUSA-led initiatives. In a few minutes, I'm going to share some statistics around how that is going. Also, from a resource perspective, our board is very supportive. 100% of board members make a gift, a personal gift, as well as influencing others to give to GSSEM. We also have great support from the board around many events such as Camp Moxie, Cookie Gala. You can read the rest up there. The board influenced 33.5% of the fundraising goal for overall GSSEM. So 33.5% of our fundraising was achieved through board influenced activities. And there's also been several new engagement events that the board has supported over the last year in partnership with Eileen Fisher, Talbots, and Alex and Ani, all different vendors and stores that supported our cause. The board has also, since 2013, recognized 57 outstanding women for the Tough Cookie Award, which helps bring people closer who maybe aren't as familiar with Girl Scouts. By recognizing them with this award, it helps bring them closer to Girl Scouts and gets them more actively involved. This year, we're going to be at the Cookie Gala honoring 23 women as Tough Cookies. And there's also this new category this year, which is Man Enough to be a Girl Scout. And we have 7 men who will be recognized this year. Moving on to our second priority around girl programs and series and events. Through the last year, we maintained many of the council-wide events that have been in place for quite a while. You can read the list that's up there. In addition, we supported over 26,000 girls at volunteer-led events, and there's some examples that are listed up there. We also created new outdoor opportunities through camping and outdoor education. And in total, there were almost 50,000 attendees at all of these events for this fiscal year. Moving on to support for volunteers. We have eliminated, and hopefully you're seeing this as volunteers, and we would definitely appreciate your feedback, after the meeting, either directly to one of us or to Denise. But we are really working hard to eliminate many of the requirements for volunteers and the paperwork. I know Denise has some pretty profound examples of the mounds of paperwork that we've often in the past made people fill out to do, a simple event. And so we're really trying to streamline the process to help not only retain volunteers, but also attract new volunteers. We also have the new volunteer orientation. And then also we've reduced the paperwork related with community events and product sales. We have a new Salesforce system being used within the council that has, from what we're hearing, feedback-wise, greatly improved customer service, including registration process. And we heard some feedback at the delegate training meeting that was very positive related to this. But again, if anyone has any either more positive feedback, because we're always willing to take that, or constructive feedback, Denise and I would be happy to hear about that too, because we're always looking to make it better for our volunteers. We also continue to maintain across the country one of the highest per box troop proceeds in the country, plus the girl rewards and celebrations related to the cookie sales. All right. I had to get a tutorial, I'm going to fully admit, from Michael Baird, the man behind the curtain, on what some of these statistics are. I knew they were all good, but some of them are challenging to explain if you're not a marketing expert. Bottom line is, from a communications perspective, there's 2 slides on this, and they're very impressive numbers in terms of our ability to expand people's awareness of us and our ability to get our message out. So the first one, which is easier to explain, is website growth and effectiveness. So bottom line is we had a 93% increase year over year in website interactions is another way of explaining the number of sessions. And we also had a 91% increase in the number of users on our website. For the volunteer toolkit, which again is a GSUSA program that we adopted, the adoption rates have been incredible. It hasn't even been out for that long, a few months. It started in the fall. And we already have over 50% of the K through 5 troop leaders and volunteers using the volunteer toolkit. And then if you look at all troops, which is interesting because there's not even really content in the volunteer toolkit for anything other than K through 5, but yet all troops were at 40%. And that's because the toolkit, although it's not fully populated with content beyond K through 5, it does offer a lot of other advantages such as scheduling and planning for meetings, even though the content isn't fully loaded yet. And Matt is going to talk more about that a little later. We also had, this is the part I had asked for help with, over 1.7 million impressions on Facebook. And that basically, an impression basically just means that while someone was on Facebook, 1.75 million people saw something related to GSSEM while they were on Facebook, which is pretty incredible because that's just our council. That's not a GSUSA statistic. And this is a fairly new thing that we're doing. So again, we're getting the message out quite well. We also did our first Google advertising contract this year. And I thought the Facebook numbers were impressive, but these are even more impressive. So as people are using Google, in their process of using Google, we delivered over 32 million impressions. So while people in our area were using Google, they saw something about GSSEM. 32 million of them did, which is very impressive. And nearly 800,000 interactions, which means that not only did they see it, but they clicked on it and did something with it. And so very effective in getting the message out. And as a result of those statistics, Google has awarded us a grant of $10,000 in kind per month for search advertising, and is helping us with recruitment and cookie, or we're using it for recruitment and cookie campaigns. As far as content, our staff, or the GSSEM staff, did over 300 plus over 200 emails, did 7 different publications, and delivered over 400 press pitches throughout the year. And those press pitches lead to media coverage. And in this case, we earned an equivalent media valuation of about $40,000 from those press pitches. So all in all, a very successful year on our 4 priorities for GSSEM. Now to step back for a minute, and Denise is going to talk more about the future, but this is kind of a little bit of a backwards or a back-looking view. So this is about GSUSA, this whole slide, and it's about how Girl Scouts in general across the United States have been undergoing quite a transformation since the early 2000s. And this is kind of just setting the context for where we're headed next. I'm not going to go through each bullet on here, but a couple of big things. So between 2000 and 2005, there was a lot of work that went on at the GSUSA level to better understand the strategy and to really understand the harsh realities that we were facing across the movement. Coming out of that, there were decisions made to merge councils in the 2005 to 2010 period, which we call the realignment period, where we went from 315 councils across the U.S. to 112 councils. In 2011 to 2013, that's really when, as I described at the very beginning, GSUSA adopted the strategic learning process and framework from Willie Peterson and then advised local councils to do the same. And so that really laid the groundwork for strengthening our strategic priorities and our overall strategy in general. And then the last 3 years, and going forward maybe another year or two, from 2014 to 2017, has really been about kind of get moving into the current century, I would say, in terms of technology. Our girls today are very technology savvy, very technology driven, and the Girl Scout program at the USA level, at the local level, was not very technology based or driven. And so there's been a lot of work to roll out things such as the customer engagement initiative, the volunteer toolkit, some of the online sales for our fall sale program, as well as some of the cookie sales that are online. And so there's a lot going on to try to bring us into the current technology century, if you will. And then going forward from 2015 to 2018, as I mentioned earlier, GSUSA has already started and is nearing completion of redoing their strategic 3 to 5 year priorities. And as they finalize those, we will have to figure out how we best align to those at the local level. And Denise is going to get into quite a bit of detail on that, so I'm not going to elaborate further at this point. And so lastly, I just want to thank everyone for a very good year. Many thanks to the board members themselves, to all the volunteers in this room, to the thousands of volunteers that aren't here in this room, and to the staff of GSSEM. Without everyone's support and continued dedication, we would not have had such a successful year in 2015. And I look forward to what we will deliver this year. Thank you. Are we showing a video first, Michael? Oh, questions. Does anyone have any questions for me? Okay. Well, I'll be back up here again later if anyone thinks of any. Are we doing a video now? Yes, we're going to show a quick video.
I like going camping with my troop leader and doing arts and crafts with my troop leader.
I like preparing meetings with her because then it's like we get to like make a list, but then it's not like it sounds like hard work, but it's actually really fun because then
I like going on our big trip when we learn about different places.
My favorite thing my troop leader has taught me is no matter what happens, you always treat everyone equal and fair.
Probably to always be respectful and just kind of like if you ever get bullied, just breathe it out and walk away. And that no matter how someone treats you, you should always treat someone the way that you want to be treated. I learned how to do the Girl Scout law and promise, and that was kind of a little bit special to me, like a lot special, so I know what's important and what's not important. She helps our troop to learn about friendship, caring. She helped us to learn the Girl Scout law and promise. What I like about my troop leader is that they always plan the best activities for us to do, and they always teach us a lot.
what I like about my troop leader is that she's really active. Like, we do stuff. It's not like we just sit around, eat our own cookies and just sit there. It's like we go here, like, oh, let's go to the water park, or oh, let's go camping. It's just really active and fun.
Your troop leader could teach you something that your mom, aunt, grandma couldn't know. And it could change your future, because if your grandma, mom, and aunt didn't know, then how would you know that?
That was super cute. I haven't seen that video before. That was great. Okay, and now I would like to introduce one of our Girl Scouts, Haley Whitmore, who is a member of our Girl Advisory Board, who is working on her Gold Ward and is also a delegate here today. And she's going to tell us about her experience as a Girl Scout.
Hello, I'm Haley Whitmore, as previously stated, and I've been a Girl Scout for 10 years. Now, in those 10 years, there has honestly never been a dull moment. I'm going to share with you my Girl Scout experience, but I can guarantee it's different than all of yours. All of you have worked very closely with Girl Scouts for probably a very long time, you know. And I just want to say that it's an amazing organization, and I congratulate all of you for sticking with it. So from the very first meeting that we went to, my leader had us create sit-upons. Now, we were in first grade, and this was hard because we were sewing through like this little rubbery stuff with like plastic needles and like this hard thread, and it was hard. We wanted to give up, we wanted to quit, and we wanted to throw it on the ground. But on the first day, I learned that you can't quit. So we tried a whole bunch of other things, like roller skating. To this day, I hate roller skating. I cannot roller skate to save my life. I get out there and I'm like one of those dogs on roller skates. Like I swing around and I face plant. So I try it every time, and every time I fall. But that's okay, because we keep trying. We're always trying new things. We went on the high ropes course, and I love the high ropes course. We went on the low ropes course. We went to a shooting range and learned about gun safety and how to shoot guns. We learned how to fly a plane. Now, how many of you actually know how to fly a plane? Yeah. Well, if we're ever in one of those really bad situations where the pilot died, I can probably listen to directions closely enough to get us to the ground, so it's okay. Ever since we were little, well, probably not first grade, but probably second grade, we went to the World Thinking Day. This was very special to me because I love learning about different cultures. I love being able to research a country and find out what they wear, what they eat, and how they live, because I think it's important to know that we're not the only ones and that other people live in different ways. And I love that about Girl Scouts, that we get the opportunity to learn about what other people are doing and how other people live. Through Girl Scouts, I've also learned a lot about how to interact with people. Now, I made probably 40 flashcards, just in case I forgot something, but I have yet to touch them or look at them because I'm not afraid to get up here and talk to you. You know what I mean? And without Girl Scouts, I would not be able to do that. I would not be able to get up here and speak to you like I would speak to one of you. And that's amazing, because I've met people who don't really know how to speak in front of crowds at first, and then they join Girl Scouts, and all of a sudden they're very social, they're personable, and then they can get up in front of a crowd and speak. Also, there's lifelong accomplishments. This is me at a cookie gala thing. I just want to show this because for a little kid, it's really cool to meet the CEO of Girl Scouts, because that's a big thing when you're little. You're like, oh my God, what is this? What am I doing? But we get to meet them. You know, I shook their hand and I took a picture with them, and that's very impressionable on a young one. So I was 9 or 10 in this picture, and then I go from 10 or 11. And then we go to 13-ish, 14, and of course last year, which is 15. So as you can see, I've gone for many, many years. And every year I take a picture because I love that recognition. And we sell cookies because we're working towards something. And when we're selling cookies, that's what's in our mind, is that we're working towards a goal. And that is our prize, is getting towards that goal. But it's also nice to go somewhere and be able to get recognized for what you've done, because you've sold over 600 boxes of cookies, and that's a lot. That's a lot. If someone would have told me when I was in kindergarten, kid, you're going to grow up and sell 1,500 of boxes of cookies every year, I'd be like, no, I'm not. But I do. So I think that's awesome that we have that opportunity to work towards something. I've also learned a lot about economic education. I have learned that if you want to get somewhere, you have to work for it. Nothing is going to be handed to you. And I give that fully to my leader for teaching that, absolutely. Because our parents never pay for anything, ever. Because if we want to do something, we have to work for it. When we were in 5th grade, we started saving for our Chicago trip. So we sold a lot of cookies. We had to sell cookies, and we didn't make it the first time. And I was like, well, are we still going to go? And she's like, no, we're not going to go. We're not going to go because you didn't reach your goal. You're not going to go. The parents aren't going to pay. So then we had to fundraise another year and get to that point. And now, several years later, this summer we're going to be going to Europe, fully paid for our troop. There are 5 girls going and 2 leaders completely paid for. So that is... It all started there. It started when we went to Chicago, and I was told, no, you can't. You can't do that because you didn't work hard enough. And now, every time that I want to do something, I know that you have to put all of yourself into it if you really want to get there. Lifelong friendships have also been developed out of this. Some of these people that I would have not met if I was not in Girl Scouts. Absolutely not. And all of these people in this picture have actually moved away. We go to different schools now. One of them is in Florida, but we still talk to each other, sometimes, I wish her a happy birthday, and if I see these people in the grocery store, I wave, and I'm like, hey, how are you? We're still very friendly. But this girl in the middle here in the mustache, we are polar opposites, or maybe we're super close, either one, but if we were not in Girl Scouts, I would have not been friends with her, because when I first met her, I'm like, you're pushy, you're annoying, you're loud, stop. But now she's one of my best friends, and we still butt heads sometimes, but that's all part of it. That's all part of Girl Scouts, is being able to work with other people. Our troop does encampments. We rent out entire camps. This particular picture is taken at Camp Linden. We we've at one point rented out all of the camps. But what we do is we say we're going to run an encampment in January. So then in September, we pick a journey, a little girl journey, so a junior or a brownie journey. And we read through it and we say, this is important, this is what we need to cover, and this is how we're going to do it. Now, we can't have them fill out worksheets because they're at camp. They don't want to do that. So we find activities and crafts and different ways to do it. So when camp comes, we sell out a whole entire camp. There's about 150 girls. We teach them a journey in one day. We will get through all of it except the take action. So when the leader leaves this camp, all they have to do for their troop is the Take Action project. And we've gotten amazing results from this. People really like this program that we put on. Another thing that our troop regularly participates in is the Girl Scout days. We are avid planners, our troop, but we love going to different places and not having to plan stuff because we plan so much stuff. This is at the ballet, which we thoroughly enjoyed. We've also gone to Circus Olay and Meet Me at the Zoo and all that type of stuff. And this is at the teen retreat, the one that was this fall or whatever. We had a blast. It was so much fun. I loved it. And I just want to give council a hand for that because that's impressive, Good job, guys. Good job. This is a picture at Camp Linden, and the point that I'm trying to make with this is that all of us at one point or another have worked on the Mackinac Honor Guard. Now, this is very special to me personally because I love it. I absolutely adore it. Now, I just started doing Mackinac last year, and my one regret is that I would have done it sooner. So all of you younger than me, do Mackinac, do it. But this has taught me discipline because I never realized how hard it was to stand still for 3 hours while flies bite your legs until it happened. But because of it, I've learned great discipline, and I enjoy going to Mackinac. I enjoy that responsibility and that discipline that we learn. And a lot of people have this preconceived notion that because we're Girl Scouts, we're very uptight and we don't do fun stuff. And I just want to prove to you that we are Girl Scouts and we have fun, okay? We have a lot of fun in everything that we do, everything. I also want to take a very large moment to thank our volunteers and leaders because without you, none of this would happen. Our leaders teach us something very important, and so do our adult volunteers. They plan things. They raise us to the leaders who we are. I would love to say that this is me that brought me up to who I am, but it's not. Yes, I worked towards it, but it was my leader and it was my mother who brought me up to be this person that I am. So I would love to thank all of you for what you're doing, and I hold you very high in my heart, because without you, I would not be this way. Our troop also, our council or our little, Our district, yeah. We do the Cookies of the Valley. It's very similar to what GSSEM does, but we collect cookies and we send it to local troops. So let's say like my neighbor's son is off somewhere, we can collect their address and send them cookies, because we really like to work with our local troops. And we also do the like the big cookie thing, but we love doing this because I actually got a response from one of the soldiers that I wrote to. We wrote like a little letter and I got a response back, and that was really cool for me. I loved that. I also go to Camp Moxie. I went 2 years, and every year I learned something new. I love seeing like those CEOs and those women that made it, because it makes me like have hope. Like, you can do it. These people did it, and they give you so much response to your ideas, and they give you constructive criticism that really makes you passionate about what you want to do. We also do a lot of community service in our troop. We're working at Picnic here, but we do like food drives and clothes drives, and we're always the first to like volunteer to do like Science Olympiad and volunteer at that type of stuff. But we also have a lot of fun while we work, because we're in Girl Scouts because we enjoy it. You know, and we're not in Girl Scouts because our moms tell us to. We enjoy it. We honestly enjoy it, so why would we not have fun in everything that we do? I'm also part of GAB, which is an amazing group of girls that has taught me that everyone has their own voice and everyone has their own way of expressing ideas. I also worked with Girl-Led newsletter last year, and that was fun. You know, I enjoyed being able to write and express my ideas and send it out to everyone. I was also a program aide. So I work with a little girl troop every other Wednesday, and usually that once a month I'll plan a badge for them to do. But I love having that connection with younger girls, so that because they think differently than I do. You know, they have different ideas. I'll say something, I'm like, why are you doing it that way? And they're like, well, why would you do it any other way? And I'm like, well, I mean, your way's easier, so I guess we can do that. But I like they think a lot differently than we do, and I enjoy getting that different thought back. So once again, I would love to thank our leaders and adult volunteers, because this is what makes this work. Without the leaders and adult volunteers, this organization would not be what it is. There's no way that it would be this way. You know what I mean? It would be here. It would just be different. And I like the way it is. So thanks. Thank you so much. I wanted to share my personal experience with Girl Scouts, and I want to let you know that I enjoyed every single minute of it. There's never been a moment where I'm like, you know, Mom, I'm not really enjoying this anymore. Can we leave? There's never been a moment like that, ever. And I hope that all of you can get involved and do some of the great things that we have done. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Haley. It's always inspiring to hear from a girl about how Girl Scouting has made a difference in their life. And I know for me personally, I was a Girl Scout myself for 10 years. Listening to Haley talk kind of brings back a lot of memories about being on Mackinac, and it feels like it was just yesterday and how much I got out of that. Now it is my pleasure to introduce Denise Dalrymple, our Chief Executive Officer, and Denise will share an overview of issues facing the council and how we're working on those issues.
Good morning, friends, sisters, brothers. I'm on this campaign. I'm Denise Dalrymple. I'm on this campaign to put life into the Girl Scout promise. And so if you would join me and stand up, and we're going to say the Girl Scout promise. We're going to say it fast. We're going to say it with meaning. We're going to say it like a cheer, okay? So not too fast, but fast enough, okay? On my honor, I will try to serve God and my country, to help people at all times, and to live by the Girl Scout law. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. You know me, I'm Denise Dalrymple. I am so privileged to be your CEO. It's been 7 years and some months, and I've had the opportunity now to see little girls grow up to be big girls, and big girls grow up to be women. It's just been astonishing to me. I I have, lots of people are going to talk about this, so I'm just going to skip this slide, but these are the things that really struck me. I'm going to do something a little different this year, rather than just me talking all the time or the COO talking all the time. One year we had Michael Baird talk a whole bunch. This year we're going to have the directors come and talk about their particular area and the cool stuff that we're doing there. One of the things that I'm very pleased about is the fact that GSSEM, our staff and me, are on various thought leader or different positions of influence with GSUSA. And that's really, really significant, because then we have ability to help GSUSA do things the way that really work for us. I also want to say that tomorrow I have the signal honor of being awarded the St. Elizabeth Seton Award from the Archdiocese of Detroit Catholic Youth Organization at the Scouting Sunday tomorrow at 2 o'clock. This would not have happened without the Religious Relationships Committee, really. Folks really stood with us. You know the story. You know there are people who say a lot of ridiculous stuff about us. We've worked very, very hard. Spirituality is at the heart of Girl Scouts. We believe that a well-rounded person understands that they're not the center of the universe, that there is a higher power, a higher something that takes us out of ourselves. I'm just so pleased that this has really worked out for us. The Customer Engagement Initiative, we're going to have staff talk about this, but I get to say that one of our achievements was to be able to deploy the staff resources, and we did this through reorganizing departments. We transferred people. We had new hires. There are other councils around the country that have added, it's cost them another $1 million, and we haven't done that. We have learned to live within our resources because we have to. But we're Michigan. We know how that works. Our challenges, of course, continue to be membership, but, I think that steep declines are kind of gone. I was looking at the statistics on Friday, and we have a decline in girl membership of about 4.7%. But that's not too far off from the GSUSA percent. I think the thing, and I'm very, very proud of our retention. Our retention is way above, and retention means people come back. I'm very, very proud, and that's our overall retention. I think we, as part of our strategic learning this year, we commissioned Data Driven Detroit to do some statistics, and I think it was quite shocking. It really gave us all pause. They came and presented to the board of directors looking at the demographics in Southeastern Michigan. And did you know that we've lost 1 out of 5 girls since the year 2000? 1 out of 5 girls. That's overall. That's not Girl Scouts. That's overall. In fact, in some parts of our region, we've lost 50 to 70% of girls, not Girl Scouts, 50 to 70% of girls in some areas. So we are a shrinking area. We're an area that's getting aging. We got to start engaging some of those old folks and have them come and be volunteers, help us out. Because what else have they got to do? They need to help us as getting into that range myself. But the other statistic that's really very important to me is our market share. The GSUSA market share is 5-point-something%, and our market share is 5-point-something% with girls. And so despite the huge loss in our market, or the available girls, we're still hanging in there. We're still reaching a lot of girls. I'm trying to remember how many, I think it's 17 or 18% of second graders. That's out of 1 out of 5 second graders in our 8-county region as a Girl Scout. And that's not too far different than it was 20 years ago. Or 25 years ago. I'm also extremely proud of the fact people say to me everywhere I go, Denise, I never hear anything about Girl Scouts, never hear anything about Girl Scouts. Well, darn it, we are working really hard to get that message out, and we're using as many avenues as we can. But our most important avenue is you. Our most important avenue is you. There's nothing that recruits other people than you telling another person, this is great, come and do this. Rather than the council's stupid, they don't know what they're doing, it's too much paperwork, that kind of stuff. We're trying not to be stupid. We're eliminating that paperwork, and we're trying to make it as easy as possible so that you can say in all earnestly to people, come do Girl Scouts, it's great. You'll have the girls you can take for granted. You just heard her and our speaker. That part you can take for granted. It's all the other stuff. We're working really hard to try to fix that up. GSUSA is going through their strategic planning, and this year they are not funding nor are they encouraging local councils to go through the same processes that we went through 2010, 2011. The fact is we have one mission we have one vision, and that's set by GSUSA. GSUSA is actually setting the priorities, and so our job is to develop the local market strategy. That is still going to take us 6, 7, 8 months, but that's what we need to do, is develop the local market strategy. And so here are the 5 strategic priorities that GSUSA has set. You can see them. I don't think we could disagree with them, as reaching more girls, having a higher impact. The thing that says increased investments has to do with the fact that more money is donated for boys than is donated for girls. People have no problem spending hundreds of dollars for their boys' activities, and yet when we ask for $15 for girls, people say, oh my God, that's so expensive. That's an attitude that we need to change. Also investing in effective operations. GSUSA has invested a tremendous amount of money in technology. We'll talk about that later. And then, of course, a stronger brand. I tell you, I don't know if you guys saw the Academy Awards on Sunday night. Was that great or what? Wow. And that kind of stuff doesn't happen by accident, although it was cooler than what we thought it would be. I can't get over that picture of Leonardo DiCaprio eating a sleeve of cookies. That was that was so great. If you bothered and took the time to come and hear us speak at our fabulous delegate training prior to this meeting, you got to hear everything about this slide. If you didn't, then you'll have to come and talk to me later, because I'm not going over it again today. But basically what this shows is where we are and where we would like to be. This is a GSUSA slide, and I threw this in there so that folks understand. GSUSA has not forgotten about all girls. Yes, we're investing in Volunteer Toolkit, and that is aimed at the lower end, the younger end. But very clearly, we have got to figure out about the big drop, and then we've got to figure out what we see as a lost segment is losing our older girls. And so part of why I was just talking to a vice president of GSUSA yesterday afternoon, part of why Digital Cookie only goes up to so far is that they are working very hard on a different approach, a new approach, listening to girls about how we advance. How do we create programs that girls will still be interested, that they'll still participate with us? Because let's face it, the younger girls do not want to have to do, the older girls do want to have to do what the younger girls do. They need to be more independent. They need it to be more digital. They need to be able to take more ownership of what they're doing. They don't need us to tell them what to do. We need to listen to them about how we can help them. Now, don't let it be said that we are giving up on journeys, but we are giving up on journeys. It's pretty astonishing to me that we were flogging volunteers for 10 years to adopt the journeys, and we got, 33% of y'all that took it on. I can't tell you how many times, and really, it's too much like schoolwork, okay. Finally, GSUSA has heard that. For many of us, the journeys were great, we liked it, but it all depends on who you are. It's too rigid, we need to offer more options. So what GSUSA is breaking up the journeys. We're going to put them into these 5 buckets. You can see the buckets right there, starting with the entrepreneurship and going down. And there are going to be more badges, because that's very, very helpful for people. And this is going to be hung on the Volunteer Toolkit. As I understand it, this will all be hung onto the Volunteer Toolkit. If you haven't done it, as an aside, if you haven't thought about this, you might think about this. If you can find an older girl to help you manage your troop of younger girls, they can do the Volunteer Toolkit for you. And that is a really, really good experience for the older girls, is to help you navigate and figure out, and that gives them real life experience on how to manage something, how to manage a project. So keep that in mind. There's more to come. Big effort at GSUSA. It's going to take them a minute. We'll see something about this the next year. And in my humble opinion, this is Denise's slide, I think that this going into these modules, and with a smaller number of outcomes. Right now we have 15 outcomes, and they're kind of not really connected to the program that we're doing. This way we're going to have exactly specific outcomes that are connected to those five areas. And GSUSA is going to have, is testing that. They're working on it right now. But I will tell you that the effect on the gold and silver awards is unknown. I do not know. I cannot tell you that. So it's not going to happen overnight. And I suspect that this will move in gradually. There'll be kind of a grandfathering thing like they did when Journeys became a requirement of the gold and silver award. And so I'm just sorry to say that, but for younger girls, that by the time they get there, we will have figured out what's going on with the Journeys. In the meantime, we're very intent, and we're going to have Barb talk about this later, about improving the number of girls that we have that are getting the gold and silver award. I have an opportunity to go to a CEO, COO, CFO, GSUSA. There's a lot of acronyms for you. GSUSA meeting on Monday. Denise Minoletti and I are going, our CFO. And they're going to be talking a lot about what's happening in the future, and we should know better then about what is happening. And that's certainly been high on my list, is to try to find this out. So here's our strategic planning schedule. I already talked about in January, where we were studying about the customer and figuring out where we are. And then, so these subsequent meetings, we're going to be talking about these other things, and then we're going to have a retreat in June, and the board is going to take a look and decide, are we able to figure out a local market strategy then? Are they going to want different resources? Are they want to, where are we going to go? It will emerge and it'll make sense, or it will not emerge, and then we will figure out what we're doing. In the meantime, the 4 strategies, or the 4 priorities that we have now, have been very strong for us. The first one, resources, when I first got here, was live within your means. You may or may not remember, at the end of 2008, the legacy councils had a $2.5 million operating deficit. We had to fix that right away. And so the board at that time was very intent. We got to right the ship or we're going to go under. Up to the point where now, if you saw our priority, the resources priority is now we're balanced, we're good, let's see where we can invest. Let's see where we can spend some money. But those buckets have those 4 priorities have stood us very, very well. Now our job is to figure out, how do we fulfill the GSUSA priorities. I'm going to take a time here. People always seem to like that. I'm sorry it's on such a small slide. I really am. But I wanted you to show you the org chart, and I do this every year because people seem to really like it and want to know about this. This is the operations team, the admin team. This is management, if you will, okay? And so you can see there's me. We have Chris Sykerzinski, Angela Benitez. Are they in the room? Angela, I saw you someplace. Angela, would you stand up? Or did she leave? Or is she out in the hall? She was there. She's out in the hall. Well, sorry. I always ask them to stand up when they've left for some reason. And then going from the far right, you can see, I'm trying to see, I can't see that. Is that fund development on the far left? Okay. And then, what's that next one? Chief Financial Officer. She's sitting right here. Denise, would you please stand up? This is Denise Minoletti, our CFO. Thank you, Denise. We have the Mr. Wizard behind the curtain is Michael Baird. You'll recognize him. He's the real tall guy, okay? When he comes back out. We had the privilege of having Dara Munson work for us for almost 2 years. When I hired Dara Munson, she only gave me a 2-year commitment. I made that very clear to people. She didn't stay the entire 2 years with us, and I'm so happy for her. I knew that she was only going to stay for a short period of time because she has a fiance, long-distance relationship for 6 years, and then who has a son. So he's a 9-year-old son, so he's not leaving Chicago. Much as I tried to persuade her to break up with him and stay here, didn't work. And then her daughter got accepted at DePauw University, which is out there. And then finally, she was approached. She was headhunted, because she's such a valuable person, to run the Child Care Society of Chicago. So it all converged for her, and I was very, very happy for her. I think we all learned a lot from her. She did for us what she needed to do. She really helped spearhead and coordinate our transition to the customer engagement platform, and then left in a real classy way with a lot of notice. We are going to be filling that position. In fact, we have a search going on right now. I think there's advertisements out. We hope to narrow the positions and start interviewing by the end of this month. But we will be filling that position. This is what we call mission delivery. You see all the folks here, and all 6 of these folks are going to stand up and speak after me. so that I don't do all the talking today, as well as Amanda Kremer, who is off her deathbed. I understand you had a temperature of 104 yesterday, but here she is. She's not contagious, who's also going to speak. So this is the group right here. Added to that slide is Pat Pancioli. Many of you may not know that we actually have a part-time, very part-time evaluator who helps us create our evaluations. But this is the management team of the mission delivery. And then this is the large of the management team. This is the large blown up org chart of the mission delivery group. And so you can see here the number of people that we have in recruitment, the number of people we have in recruitment services, and then you can see the various other departments and the other structures, other structure. People often ask, and we're going to have each of them to come up, but they often ask, and I'm going to jump on this right now. Dan Gollin is going to come up and talk to us about recruitment services and customer care. That's a new thing for Girl Scouts. In other places, they call that, quote, inside sales. But part of the reason when you call and somebody answers the phone and somebody has an answer, and by making it easier on front-facing means that it's a lot of work in the back of us. There's a lot of clicking, there's a lot of manipulation to get you where you need to go and to get your answers. That's the recruitment services. We're very lucky. Dan is a former Salesforce professional. We did a search and got him, and then gave him more and more stuff as he's been here. He was just going to do one thing, and now he's running a whole department for us. We have Ruth Zamorowski, who's also going to speak from Recruitment Services. Ruth has a long history, and particularly in women's work, and came with us as a recruitment person. I was thrilled to be able to promote within, as with Matt Matthews, who is our Director of Troop Support. Matt reminded me that he's had 3 jobs in the time he's been with Girl Scouts. He himself was a troop support person. Then we put him in charge of volunteer services. And so when it came time to reorganize, we thought, Matt's the guy, because he's going to have to direct both of those things. Then we have Barb Sosen. We split Barb's department in half, and so she's doing stuff. Tiffany Griffin took on a little bit, but then because we split that workload a little bit, then Tiffany is able to go full in on our in-school scouting. She'll describe that to you. But I was joking with Barb this morning because she had a little more time and attention. She was able to really turn on the creativity and do some really cool and creative stuff because she wasn't stretched so thin. Amanda Kramer, I watched Amanda Kramer grow up. I didn't quite steal her from Hardin, Michigan, but I kind of did. But she did go work for the Mosaic Theater, and I kept my eye on her during that period of time, and was able to bring her in when it was appropriate. Then we have Renee Allen. Renee Allen was a camp director for 8 years. She's worked as a membership specialist. I'm trying to think of all the stuff that you've done. Now she's now over the camps, outdoor education, the community specialist. You may not realize that we are unique in other Girl Scouts in the amount of staff and money and effort that we put into events. A lot of councils do not do that, but we are really committed to. We have a lot of council events, but we also have staff that are employed to support the community events. We put money into those, and we put staff time into those. And part of the thinking there is that this is other cool stuff, so that troop leaders don't have to do all that cool stuff that the girls like. You don't have to do it all by yourself. And so there's a lot of things that are going on. So I'm going to turn it over to Ruth Zamorowski, and that is my report this year. Thank you very much.
Good morning. Let's try that again. Is that better? Good morning. As Denise said, I'm Ruth Zamorowski. I'm the Director of Recruitment, which means my department gets new members. So just to tell you a little bit about myself, I have a history of working in healthcare and working as a coach and a trainer. My last position, I was training physicians in medical record software, so I'm really enjoying Girl Scouts. It's a lot more fun. I appreciate your giving me your attention for just a few minutes so you can hear about what the recruitment department and our team is doing to improve membership. As you know, that's been a challenge for us. Okay. I don't get a hold of the remote very much at home. And there we go. You can tell. Okay, recruitment is about getting new members involved. We've been having community meetings. We call them Get to Know Today's Girl Scouts. We're on our second year of those. And we've had about 1,400 girls come through those meetings this year. So we're doing well with those. We are working with troop organizers and troop organizer coaches, and these are volunteers who are passionate about Girl Scouts, and they express that passion by recruiting members with us. So we're trying to work with them in a more collaborative fashion all the time, and we rely very much on them to get new membership. They're very critical to that process. We run into the constraint of getting adults, basically. It is hard to get adults to serve girls. Girls are usually ready to go as soon as the adults are, but our community is full of people who are hard-pressed for time. So we're always looking for new ways to deal with recruiting adults. And when I started out at Girl Scouts, I was recruiting adults, often non-traditional roles to fill those. So we are always looking for unique approaches to building troops, to getting adults involved. And I'm ahead of myself here. Okay, so we're always looking for unique places to hold troops. We go to churches, schools, other places of worship, community centers, after-school programs, that sort of thing, in an effort to involve girls and get a new source of adult volunteers. Often the people who are employed in those areas will volunteer to help lead troops. So that's pretty much what we've been doing over the last couple of years, but I think what's really exciting this year for us has been that we got training in Sandler sales techniques. Often you think of sales techniques as being, pushy, manipulative, coercive. The exact opposite is true of the Sandler method. It's a very respectful method, and it's a method by which we go out and allow the customer to make an informed decision about Girl Scouts. The way we used to sell was the typical way, and we'd experience the typical customer behavior pattern, which is up there. You all know that Girl Scouts has a million wonderful benefits, and people would say, that's nice, I'm too busy. Or they would say, do you have a brochure? In other words, let me think about this without you here. And they'd say, yeah, you can call us, and we'd call them, and then they would hide. They wouldn't hear the phone ring when it was in their pocket. So we were really happy to have some new strategies and some new ways to put our communication techniques together. So Sandler Sales was an initiative done by Girl Scouts of the USA. We received our training only in July, but we've been trying to apply as much of it as we can. So, yes, we're still excited about Girl Scouts, but we don't tell everybody all the benefits now. Our approach is different. We've learned that selling is 70% listening and only 30% talking. So we talk to people a lot less than we used to, and we seek to understand the family's needs. We have a conversation now instead of a presentation. We often leave the slideshow at home and sit around a table with families to find out what their needs are. We're honest about what's involved. You're probably not going to have a Girl Scout troop unless some adults step up. We don't have a whole lot of troops where you can just sign up your girl. And that's unfortunate for some people, but that is the reality. And when we tell people that it's going to take less time than it does, they feel disappointed later. So our message is essentially, yeah, it does take adult commitment. It does. And here's how much we think it takes. And we'll work with you to make it more efficient if we can. But Girl Scouts is worth it. And that's where you see on the slide that we just need a slight edge. And that's where we get our slight edge. Because if we've been listening to those families, we know what they're looking for. And you know that Girl Scouts provides so much good material. It's pretty easy to tell them why Girl Scouts has the slight edge. So we're very honest with people now. We allow them to disqualify themselves. You know, if you don't have any time at all, really, Girl Scouts probably isn't a good fit for you unless you can collaborate with the other parents. So we try to sell a co-op troop where all the parents pitch in. We've got the volunteer toolkit, which has helped us enormously. We show that to people, they're all over it. They're ready to join. They see how it can work. So we establish rapport. We get families to talk about their emotional needs, their emotional concerns for their girls, and then we give them rational reasons to support their choice to join Girl Scouts. One of the more important things we found out by having a conversation and getting below the surface is families have a lot of opportunities to do things with their girls. Girls can choose from a million different things, and they all look kind of the same to somebody on the surface. But when we get below that surface, we find that people are really deeply concerned. They're concerned about their girls' confidence. They're concerned about the girls' sense of self, which they so often lose as they grow up. And they want their girls to learn social skills and experience inclusion, and they don't get that other places. People are interested in having their girls learn new things and being connected to the community and giving back to the community. And you all know Girl Scouts does that beautifully. So once we connect with people on that deeper level, Girl Scouts looks quite different than the other activities. It's got something a little different flavor than soccer or any other club that a girl could join, and it meets some very, very deep needs that a lot of parents are too busy to think about every day. So that's the approach that we use in our sales meetings now. So the result of using these techniques has been more consistent outcomes. Just in general, recruiting staff now know exactly what they have to do to get results. We're learning how to do it still, but we know what we need to do. We're more successful engaging adults this year, and that means that we don't have a lot of girls in troops without adults. Since we seek the adults first, we get a better outcome. We're experiencing a fairly steady new girl membership at a time when we expected declines. So we are getting results with getting new girls on board. We've just begun to use the Sandler system, and you could hardly say we've mastered it. So I'm really encouraged because we haven't taken on that much of it, and yet we're already seeing how powerful it is to approach people in this way. As we further learn these techniques, I'm thinking that we should be able to really deal with the challenges in our environment quite well because we'll have the tools to do it. I'd like to introduce the illustrious Dan Gollin, who will talk to you next.
Morning. Like Ruth said, I'm Dan Gollin. I've been here just over, is it a little bit? There you go. Good. I've been here just over a year, and like Denise said, there's a lot of changes with the customer experience and the new software system. And I was kind of brought in to help lead that charge, and that's what my my department does. And like I said, we're the behind the scenes people, but we do a lot of we're the super user of the system that help membership, help answer questions, help answer your emails, solve cases so that you do have the answers when you need them. And that's what our main goal really is. Like I said, it was a new department in 2015. It was originally the help desk, but we've combined that to include help desk, registration, and also recruitment services. And basically, the registration customer care now is customer care, answering phones, answering the emails. With the new system now, we have what is called web to case. So when you go to the website and enter a case, it comes to our queue, and that's how we solve the cases or close the cases that you enter online. And then we also answer the phones and do those things. And we also handle membership, paper membership, and then paper registration for events and programs. And that's a 3-person team that's in Detroit. And last year, those 3 ladies responded to over 4,000 cases of the total of 12,000 cases that we had as a council in the previous year. Then there's the recruitment services, and that's a 6-person team that's in the Port Huron Service Center, and they are super users of the system. They're the ones that, with this new automation, the automation for registration, automation for volunteer background checks, getting them through, that's what they do on a daily basis, is help people through the different steps and stages of the membership process, of the background check process. And they also work with troop support and recruitment to place girls in the proper troops. And as you can see, over 38,000 contacts, phone calls and emails that they've answered and helped people with in the last year. So those, like I said, 6 ladies are pretty busy. Another thing we wanted to bring up, you heard earlier about case management and the good job we do, and Denise and Heather out at a delegates meeting that they heard that, or saying phones get answered, questions get answered, doing a better job than before. And a lot of that's because what we call the knowledge base. You can see the first contact resolution, which is our ability to take care of an issue over the phone the first time or in the first response to an email. You see 80% for our staff, over 55% average for the rest of the councils. And so we're doing, obviously, a good job there. And a lot of the reason we do is because of what is called our knowledge base, 1,200 questions and answers that are at the fingertips of the staff that they can instantly search on the website, on our internal site, and provide those answers to you in obviously a very timely basis. So that's something that we're proud of. And again, we're hearing feedback that it's working, that you're happy with people answering the phones and attending to emails. So we're just trying to do better and get things better for the future of Girl Scouts. And if there is anything that you ever want to hear or talk about, get a hold of Denise, get a hold of Heather, and let us know, because we always want to improve. And that's basically who we are and what we do. And thank you very much. Next presenter is going to be Matt Matthews, Troop Support, and he's going to talk to you about all the things that his good department does. Thanks.
Good morning. My name is Matt Matthews. I'm the Director of Troop Support. As Denise mentioned, this is my 3rd position with Girl Scouts. I've been here just over 3 years. So if we keep that going, I'll run through just about everything. I'm not planning to run through it. I'm trailing. So I'm Matt Matthews. I'm the Director of Troop Support. My team, the Troop Support team, is primarily responsible for Ruth mentioned the recruitment team responsible for recruiting new girls. The troop support team is primarily responsible for renewal, retention, volunteer, and troop support to our approximately 2,000 troops, and that includes the volunteer toolkit. So the troop support specialists, you all should know who your troop support specialist is. Those folks are the subject matter experts on the volunteer toolkit. Our team is also responsible for volunteer training and recognitions, and we'll talk more about the changes we've made in training, the recognition event happening this afternoon, specific recognitions, and some areas where we're trying to improve in that area, how we can show you what we appreciate the work that you're doing. So we're responsible for those things. And then volunteer relations. I'll talk more about what volunteer relations is. But from an outside perspective, those things that come into us, those conflict situations, what is that? How do I deal with that? How do I handle those things? That's what our volunteer relations team is responsible for. So the volunteer toolkit is, there are some pre-configured year plans that are available for our Daisy Brownie Junior troops. They can be resequenced, they can be swapped. We've discussed the volunteer toolkit in previous meetings. It was discussed at the annual meeting last year. But what I'm excited to share with you is how we've grown in the toolkit. It's a comprehensive digital tool accessible via your computer, a smartphone, or a tablet. And it's designed to help our troop leaders have a fun and successful year with their troops. The volunteer toolkit it's very customizable. And there are pre-configured year plans, as we talked about, for Daisy Brownie and junior troops. But all of our troops can do and use the volunteer toolkit. So I want you to look at this slide, and I want you to disregard everything that's up there. Not because it's not accurate. All of that information is accurate, and all of that information is things that we're proud of. But I want you to disregard that slide because what I want to talk about is our Cadet Senior Ambassador troops. All right? Our Cadet Senior Ambassador troops can and do use the volunteer toolkit. And so I was frantically on my phone over here trying to find some stats, and I couldn't find them, but I'm happy to pull those and provide if you have those questions. But we do have Cadet Senior Ambassador troops that are getting on the toolkit every day. There are not the pre-configured year plans as there are for the Daisy Brownie and junior troops. But the volunteer toolkit is fully customizable. I can build my own meetings. I can add my own activities. I can still have that schedule. I can still communicate with parents and with my girls through the toolkit. The volunteer toolkit is connected and works with our website and our events calendar on the website, so you can pull events from our website and put them directly into your year plan on the volunteer toolkit. What's coming very soon is you'll also have the opportunity and the ability to register for those events. As you pull them in, you can go through the registration process there as well. So all of those things are coming into Toolkit. We're excited about that. There's some great stuff up there about Daisy Brownie Junior troops, but our Cadet Senior Ambassador troops are using it as well. So we currently have 39% of all of our troops, 52% of the Daisy Brownie Junior, and I mentioned that number is climbing every day. What we're most excited about as we continue to see that adoption rate climb, we're continuing to see that adoption rate climb as we see the number of troops climb. So we have more troops today than we did yesterday, but our adoption rate is climbing as well. That means that as those new troops are forming, thanks to some great work by our recruitment team, as those new troops are forming, they're coming in and they're logging onto Toolkit because they see the value in it. And that's true for our Cadet Senior Ambassador troops as well. That number continues to climb as the number of new troops are formed. So while it is built primarily with those pre-configured year plans for the Daisy Brownie Junior troops, a lot of work was done to make sure that it can be customizable and can be used right now for our Cadet Senior Ambassador troops as well. Our volunteer training, over the last 2 years, we've moved more and more of our training online. We've worked with our adult training facilitators, with adult learning and e-learning specialists to enhance those online trainings, and our trainings now are designed, we've really limited the amount of those required trainings. And our trainings now are designed to give you the tools you need today to start your troop tomorrow. We really have only one required training to start that troop. That's that volunteer orientation. There are some required camp trainings if you're planning to take your girls camping, and there are several recommended trainings. The Girl Scouting 101, the GSUSA training, we have several other recommended trainings on there. The Difficult Conversations training is also a training that's relatively new in an online-based format, but is also something we're recommending. How do I have those difficult conversations? If I'm in a conflict situation, how do I have that conversation with my troop leader? How do I, with a co-leader, how do I have that conversation with another parent? So that's a great tool for you to look at as well. I mentioned that our trainings now are designed to give you what you need today to start tomorrow, but what do I do about all that other stuff? When I get to the point to open a bank account, how do I know when to do that? If I get into that conflict situation and I need to call counsel so I can go into this process, and what does that look like? We have the volunteer relations training. We also have some help in there on how to log into the volunteer toolkit, how to log into the member profile. We're in the process right now of creating a learning module for the renewal process. When I get into renewal, what do I do? What does that look like? How do I do this? And so those are those supplemental learning modules. These are not trainings. We're affectionately calling them SLAMs because supplemental learning module is a long thing to say. So that's more internal, but for your benefit, when you get on the website under that volunteer tab, under trainings, all of those are on there. We're also doing a better job of incorporating those into the solutions that Dan talked about. So when you ask a question about how do I open a troop bank account or how do I log in, we're going to send you that information in the solution. I'm also going to send you one of these. They're 3 to 5 minutes long. One of them is as short as 90 seconds. 2 of them are as short as 90 seconds on how do I do this one thing. And so we walk you through those steps. We're having a lot of success with those, and we're excited for how that can build there. We're also continuing to enhance our in-person trainings. We're working to create kits and modules, those special interest trainings of things that can be delivered at district meetings. So you can pick this up, and it may not be a physical kit, it may be some things online, but how do I take this and how do I go deliver that training in an in-person format? Our volunteer recognitions, our online nominations have greatly increased the number of nominees we receive for our online recognitions. We moved our volunteer nominations process, our volunteer national awards nomination process entirely online this year, and it nearly doubled the number of nominations we received. In 2015, we received nominations for 47 volunteers. In 2016, in our event this afternoon, we received nominations for 93 volunteer awards.
And I want to see that double next year. Recognize your peers.
Beth Bailey is our volunteer experience specialist. She is heading up the training. She's heading up the volunteer nominations. And she set a pretty tough precedent for herself this year. So I've let her know I need that to continue. I need that to double next year. So I am going to need your help to continue to do those things. At our annual volunteer recognition event, following this meeting, we're going to recognize the contributions of nearly 90 volunteers in their service to our council and to our girls. So we're really excited for that. We've also created a volunteer newsletter working with our marketing communications team the first Monday of every month. So on Monday, you should all receive a newsletter that has some specific information targeted to all of our volunteers. What do all of our folks need to know? Not just those troop volunteers, not just those product folks. We want to give some information to all of you. Included in that is another spotlight and another recognition of some volunteers who may be receiving one of those awards, may not be, but because you're not at the event, we want to make sure everybody gets to know the great work you're doing. So we're spotlighting particular volunteers once a month too for the great work and the great service they're providing. Haley, you spoke about, I tried to get this quote correct, so help me if I'm not. What you said, Girl Scouts is all about learning to work with other people or working with other people. You could have done this volunteer relations part for me, because that's what this is. That's what our goal is. We shared this volunteer relations data in 2015 at the annual meeting last year, but I wanted to provide an update on what we're doing and how we're working with folks to have that communication, have that difficult conversation. How do I talk to people when I'm in that conflict situation? Since implementing volunteer relations in 2014, we've closed 197 conflict cases. And I use conflict cases sort of in air quotes there because those things that come into us as conflict are oftentimes things that are disguised as conflict. So of all those 197 cases that we have opened and closed that have come in appearing to be a conflict case, only 39% of those were true conflict. Some of them were customer service, education, and then 45% of those are broken procedure. Those broken procedure cases, those are the the policy violations beyond a training or education issue. It could be a blatant policy violation, insubordination. They are most commonly related to troop finances. But most of those things that come into us as that conflict situation are not necessarily a true conflict situation. So of those 197 cases we've opened since 2014, we've closed those 197 cases on an average of 19 work days. That sounds like a lot, and that still sounds like a lot to me. But as we start to break that down, our transition over the last year to the Customer Engagement Initiative has helped us continue to grow in this area. And so since implementing CEI, our volunteer relations cases are now open on an average of only 12 work days. And during our 2016 membership year, so since October 1st, we're closing those cases on an average of 8 days. So Dan talked about our case closure rate and why that's important and why that's something we're proud of, but those cases that come into us as a conflict case, a little more difficult. Sometimes we move to mediation. We go through a different process. There may be a financial audit. We're still closing those cases right now, this membership year, on an average of 8 days. We're also very proud of the success that we're having in those areas. 65% of our members in those cases, all members are remaining in place. We're not removing a volunteer. A volunteer is not resigning. A parent may not leave the troop. All members are remaining in place. And so we're really excited about the data on this slide and the previous. GSUSA has really seen Girl Scouts of Southeastern Michigan as being on the forefront of these types of initiatives, and our process and our data is being recognized on the national level. We're constantly presenting nationally on what we're doing and why it's working, and so we're really excited to be on the forefront of that volunteer relations process. So, thank you. I'd like to introduce Tiffany Griffin. Tiffany is our Director of Council Initiatives.
Good morning. Thank you, Matt, for the introduction. Again, I am Tiffany Griffin, Director of Council Initiatives. I have beat you, Matt, since I started with Girl Scouts of Metro Detroit in 2005. I have had 7 different positions. So, starting in December of 2015, I started my 8th new position. And I'm still here. So, Matt, you have a long way to go. In December 2015, we started a new department, and the purpose of this department was to increase the number of girls in Girl Scouting. And there's 3 different initiatives that fit into this department, and I'm just going to explain a little bit about each one of them. The first initiative is the Diversity and Inclusion Initiative, and its goal is to increase the number of girls of all ethnicities, to ensure that we are welcoming all ethnicities into this council. The first one is our Hispanic numbers. We currently have, if you can look at the screen, we currently have 868 girls and 142 adults. And in our African American initiative, we currently have 2,100 girls registered. The purpose is to increase those numbers while we welcome all ethnicities into this council. We're really focusing on these 2 because these numbers are low on our council. Right now, our goal for Hispanic is 980. We will greatly exceed that before the end of this month, and our goal for our African American initiative is 2,850. So we will exceed those numbers by the end of March. To help us with this initiative, there's 2 staff members that are working with community members. Teresa Ramirez is working with community members and partners with our Hispanic Advisory Board, and I just hired Alfonso Amos, who will be working with our African American Advisory Group to help us to determine and find ways to increase Girl Scouting into these populations. The second initiative in this department is our program initiative, and that is led by Sarah Sanders. There are 2 different programs in this initiative. The first one is BFF, that is Be a Friend First. It is an 8-week or an 8-hour program that's delivered to girls, typically 6th through 8th. But we've had some principals that have expressed that they needed 5th graders, so we've added 5th graders into this initiative. And it's basically working on relationship building. It is an anti-bullying, conflict resolution type program. Very hands-on. Girls have a ball doing doing this particular program, and schools are loving this program for each individual girl. The second funded program in this department is our First Lego League teams. We have 2 age levels. We have our junior FLL teams, which are our K through 3, and then we have our regular FLL teams, which are 4th and 5th graders. We currently have 33 juniors and 10 of our regular teams, and we will greatly expand that, and I'll talk about that in the next slide. The next initiative that I'm really, really excited about is our in-school, it's technically called our Girl Scout Leadership Initiative, but better known as our in-school scouting and community scouting. The purpose of this initiative is to identify our gaps, and I worked real closely with our recruitment team to identify those gaps and to take a look at which populations and communities we were lacking in volunteer commitments. The goal is to provide an alternative program delivery model. In this, we have schools that are doing Girl Scouting during the school day. So we're part of their curriculum during the school day. We are implementing STEM programming. This particular module, because these girls are selling cookies, we're doing a lot of math programs with these particular girls. These girls, they meet, initially the plan was to only have 500 girls. I wanted to build a new initiative and to get it so that I can evaluate it and sell it to other school districts. As you can see, I've exceeded that by 340. And after I presented that in one of our meetings, Denise came to my office and said, is it a possibility that you can get 1,000 girls? So, and I said, I took a deep breath and I said, probably. So probably at the end of March, we will have reached, I have some other schools that are interested in doing this program because our school administrators see the value of Girl Scouting. We have schools that have all of their girls. We have one, we just onboarded Ann Bisker, and they have 300 girls. So we are in that school providing Girl Scouting to 300 girls during the school day. We have another school that, and this initiative was really K through 5, but we have a school, Dunn STEM Academy, that is a K through 8th grade. And she begged me, she twisted my arm, and I gave in. So we're doing Girl Scouting for her K through 8th grade. She wanted a school-wide initiative. It's so interesting, and it's enjoying to see that these girls are super excited about Girl Scouting. And I know that my coworkers have heard this so many times, so I apologize for saying it again. The girls are excited to be a part of something that they don't even know about. So when we went in and we did rallies with these girls, we kind of talked about, what is Girl Scouting? What do you think we're going to do? And one of the girls immediately said, oh, we're going to make Girl Scout cookies. And some of the other girls like, no, we're going to eat Girl Scout cookies. So girls don't know what it is, but they're super, super excited about being in Girl Scouting. So we are, again, we will exceed this number greatly, and in the next slide, I'll kind of talk about where we're going and what we're doing. Because these troops meet during the school day, they may not have the opportunity to have a lot of different speakers or do a lot of different field trips, but our commitment to these girls are strong. Each and every girl receives these benefits. They currently are working on journey materials and Girl Guide materials. They are so excited about their sashes. The teachers ask if they're supposed to wear it to school every day. I'm like, that's fine, but they can definitely wear it on the day that they have their Girl Scouting program. Girls are very, very, very excited to work. They're selling cookies right now, so working with our product program to get the girls selling cookies. We're currently working with our outside and our camp staff to take the girls to camp in August. Girls have never been to camp, so this is an opportunity to get them to go to camp. Girls, and I'm not sure if the staff will agree, but girls are so excited to go to Ma Frenzy in a couple of weeks. We're taking about maybe 60 to 70 of our older girls to Ma Frenzy. So they're excited to be able to be a part. They've never been a part of these experiences, and this is what this initiative is doing for them. These troops are self-sustaining because they are doing program planning. They are selling cookies. They've already worked on the budget pieces on what they need to do with their funds. Their pickup time is next week, so parents are calling me every day. I still have another week. What do we do after we sell, after the sale is over? So girls are working to do the things that they want to do. This position or this initiative is supported by 10 part-time staff, which are called Girl Engagement Specialists, but they are supported by 20 to 35 volunteers and parents. And the ultimate goal is to get those parents really comfortable with taking on over these troops so that we can move to the next area. So it's amazing how parents have stepped in. We have a whole school. The parents are going to sew on all of the insignia for the girls. So the adults are very excited. They just needed that little bit of push to get them started. So this is what this initiative is doing for our girls. This next slide just talks about some of the schools where we're located. They're kind of spread out throughout our council. Again, really working with our recruitment team to identify those gaps where we do not have troops. And many of these girls, in the number, we had 840, 790 of these girls have never been a part of Girl Scouts. They have never been asked, they have never been a part of Girl Scouts. The remaining girls were in Girl Scouting maybe in the past, or their troops disbanded, or they moved away. So think about it. This council has provided those girls an opportunity to be a part of an amazing sisterhood. Where we're going, we have some additional schools that love this. So I will be having those conversations in the next quarter in our Monroe schools. We are lacking with our Daisy Brownie troops there. So building and fueling that pipeline is something that's important. Our Pontiac schools, really trying to get a relationship going back with our Pontiac schools. There's been some changes there. They've expressed some interest, so we will be working in Pontiac. We currently have one troop in Highland Park, so there are many girls there. Building that relationship in Highland Park is very, very important. We have some new partnerships that are starting in the city of Flint. We will be doing Girl Scouting for those for those girls and in the shelters, and these are some standalone programs. Some of those skills that girls can take as they move forward. Working with our sororities and our community colleges and universities. We're also moving to increase the number of our first Lego League teams. I've talked to the staff person, so she knows that I'm going to say this. So we are increasing our teams from 43 to 87 this next year. Yay. So thank you. I want to finally say thank you to all of you for the wonderfully amazing things that you do. And at this time, I would like to introduce you to the accomplished Barb Sosen.
Good morning. My name is Barb Sosen, and it is my pleasure to serve as your Director of Council Programs. Me and my team focus on creating large-scale council-wide series and events to help support Girl Scouts, or the girls in their Girl Scouting experience, and we also support the highest awards, the bronze, silver, and gold awards, as well as other GSUSA recommendations, such as the GSUSA destinations, international travel guidelines, the National Girl Advisory Board, just to name a few. By the end of our 2015 membership year, we hosted over 12,000 attendees at series and events and trainings for girls and adults, which exceeded our goal of 8,000. As of last week, we already served 6,000 attendees, and we are on track to exceed 12,000 attendees for the program year. Some of the girls' favorite events continue to be our International River Crossing event, which is going into its 49th year this year, our zoo event, and just this past Saturday, we had a great event at Cranbrook, our Kaleidoscope of Science Fund, where we served over 1,400 attendees. And of course, our very, very famous Small Frenzy event is coming up on March 19th, and that will be at Lakeside Mall from 10 p.m. to 3 a.m., because what else do you do on a Saturday night when you're a Girl Scout? And we still have a few spots available, so if you girls and adults haven't registered, registration is still open until tomorrow. And of course, even if you don't have a girl, we're always looking for adult volunteers to come be with us in that lock-in event. So, our Thanksgiving Day Parade. This was our 4th year having 100 girls marching, or I should say dancing, on Woodward Avenue in America's Thanksgiving Day Parade. This year, Girl Scouting will celebrate its 100th anniversary of the Gold Award. So the girls wore gold Santa hats in the parade to commemorate this special milestone for the highest awards in Girl Scouts. We continue to grow the number of STEAM events, and I am using the term STEAM versus STEM because we oftentimes do have arts involved in our science, technology, and math programs. Our goal was to offer 10 STEAM programs, and we offered, at the end of the year, we ended up offering 28. And in 2016, we are on track to double that number. Based on our growth in attendance with these series and events, the girls are very interested and can't seem to get enough of these types of programs. We've developed very strategic partnerships with experts in these fields to ensure that our girls are getting high-quality STEAM experiences. We've been working with the engineering and computer science faculty and students at local colleges and universities, such as the University of Michigan Dearborn and Oakland University, professional organizations such as the Michigan Council of Women in Technology, and the American Chemical Society has offered our Chemistry Day program for the 11th consecutive year, and we'll also be working with DTE again, who will be offering our Business Owners program to our juniors, who will be able to earn one of their financial literacy badges. Tiffany talked a little bit about FIRST Robotics. 3 years ago, we started working with FIRST Robotics, and you can see the numbers up there, and you can see how much we have grown. We are super proud of our growth in this area, and look forward to continuing to grow this. And we just, again, last Saturday had our first expo at Cranbrook, and we are still in the process of trying to confirm a rumor that we hosted the largest FIRST Expo in the state of Michigan last Saturday with all Girl Scout teams. So we are very proud. Our girls have such curious minds, and we look forward to continue to build this relationship with FIRST. Our upcoming events, we are currently working with Apple Computer, and I have to say that you don't necessarily see that name on our calendar of events because we've been asked not to necessarily market that until our partnership with them becomes more formalized, and it has to go through lawyers and higher-ups at Apple, but we're getting there, and we're still working on that. But they told me that I can verbally tell you that we're working with Apple, and they are doing a great job for us and offering a lot of free programs to girls, which we're really proud to be able to offer. We're going to start working with Microsoft very soon to offer programs, and I've just recently started conversations with Google, and we look forward to offering more coding programs for girls. And then, of course, it's been a long time coming, but we are excited to partner with Ford Motor Company and Girl Scout councils in California, Texas, and Florida on the creation of a council-wide Pinewood Derby type of experience for our Brownie and Junior Girl Scouts. This will take place in the fall of 2016. So watch for more information on that, but we are very proud to be one of 4 Girl Scout councils in the country chosen for this opportunity. As you know, GSUSA is concentrating on its efforts in the recruitment and retention of K through 5 membership, and recently made a large investment in building the volunteer toolkit. But at GSSEM, we are also making a really concentrated effort to focus on older girls. We are trying to create program opportunities for older girls that are different and cool enough to keep them engaged in Girl Scouts. Although GSSEM does not coordinate specific travel opportunities for girls, we certainly encourage girls to take advantage of the GSUSA destinations, which are the ultimate travel adventure for individual girls ages 11 and older. Older girls will also have an opportunity to learn about our chalet, which I believe you should have a handout on that that was given out a little bit earlier. And our chalet is one of our world centers located in Switzerland, in the Swiss Alps, at a luncheon coming up on Saturday, April 23rd in Rochester, Michigan. But the keynote speaker is a woman who was an intern at our chalet and who will speak of her experience. And so we're encouraging all of you, and especially our older girls, to go to this event, which it's free for the older girls, to learn more about these types of opportunities. Our GSSEM Girl Advisory Board is also an opportunity for any girl in 9th through 12th grade to engage with one another and with council staff to offer their input and help to plan and execute various program offerings for girls. Girl Advisory Board members also have the opportunity to participate in public speaking opportunities, report on events, as Haley talked about, participate in flag ceremonies, and it's an opportunity for girls to build upon their own leadership skills. Most importantly, we always have a lot of fun, and I know that Haley talked about that as well. As one of the staff advisors for our Girl Advisory Board, along with Caroline Feathers, we find that GAB is really made up of some of our council's most strongest girl leaders, and it's really becoming the group for older girls to belong. For the last 5 years, GSSEM has partnered with the Michigan Women's Foundation and Women Officials Network to host Camp Moxie. The most favorite aspect of Camp Moxie has been our famous speed mentoring experience, which paired girls with professional women to have a quick mentoring experience with many women, very similar to a speed dating type of experience. The time is now for Moxie to evolve into something more enticing for the older girls that better fits their schedules and is offered more than once a year. Starting in May 2016, we will begin offering 3 different Moxie experiences for older girls on a quarterly basis. These are unique experiences and not intended for any girls to participate in any type of sequential order. Moxie Talks is a TED Talk type of experience where where speakers will share inspiring ideas in 18 minutes or less on topics that will help girls build upon their leadership skills and help them in their quest to earn their highest awards. We'll ask speakers to engage with girls in a question and answer session, and then we'll continue to the conversation with smaller groups over a meal, and then with professional women so girls can continue to network and enjoy that mentoring experience. Our goal is that girls leave these experiences feeling inspired by the speakers and women with whom they've networked to go out and change the world. Moxie Mentoring is our second new opportunity for professional women to come together and host small groups of girls over a meal or light refreshments and offer girls a very personal mentoring experience. These opportunities will be available throughout the year in various communities. And finally, the last experience will be Camp Moxie, which is changing from a 4-day experience to a weekend leadership camp for older girls. This will be a very interactive experience, leadership camp, with professional women incorporated into the experience. This will be held at our beautiful Camp Hawthorne Hollow, and the dates for this year are July 29th through July 31st. Our goal with these Moxie experiences is to provide leadership, networking, and mentoring experiences for older girls that will inspire them and help them find the courage, confidence, and character in themselves to make the world a better place. We want to see more of our girls pursuing the highest awards in Girl Scouting, and we are committed to offering them experiences and inspire them and prepare them to be successful in their effort in earning their gold award. Last year, we were proud to celebrate 149 silver awardees and 17 gold awardees at our annual honors reception. Natalie Apollonari was our Young Woman of Distinction, and she even had the honor to throw out the ceremonial first pitch at the Detroit Tigers game at our Girl Scout Day at Comerica Park last June. Although the number of gold awards remain flat, we're experiencing a significant decline in the number of silver awards. For a council of our size, we should be seeing a much higher number of girls earning their highest awards. We are concerned about the pipeline of girls coming up through the ranks, and we need to be proactive in order to change these trends. I just spoke of our new programs that we are focusing around older girls, and they have been designed strategically to be different enough and, let's face it, cool enough to keep girls engaged in Girl Scouting so that they can continue to develop their leadership skills. We also hope that these new program experiences will inspire and prepare even more girls to earn their Gold Award. We have created a Gold Award task force that is being chaired by Nancy Philippart, our former board chair. The other volunteers part of this task force are Lisa Morris, one of our board members, Linda Dandridge, Jan Robert John, Paula Somerville, Jade Sterling, and from council staff, me and Caroline Feathers. The Gold Award Task Force was designed to provide a high-level strategic direction and enhancement of the Gold Award process to increase the quality and quantity of Gold Awards earned at GSSEM. The task force is looking at everything from the process of the girls earning the Gold Awards to building the pipeline, training, marketing, the Gold Award committee structure, volunteer support, and so on. We are taking every opportunity to enhance the overall process and experience to ensure it's supportive of our girls as possible. This task force will be presenting a formal recommendation to our CEO, Denise Dalrymple, and our board in the very near future. 2016 is the centennial anniversary of the Gold Award and Girls Changing the World. We have been very busy trying to identify Gold Award alumni or its equivalent, the First Class, Curved Bar, or Golden Eaglet, to invite to a special celebration just prior to the honor reception on May 1st, where we will celebrate our GSSEM Silver and Gold awardees. We know that our Girl Scouts in Southeastern Michigan have what it takes to change the world, and we look forward to the day when a GSSEM Gold Awardee is honored by GSUSA as a National Young Woman of Distinction. It is now my pleasure to introduce to you my esteemed colleague, Renee Allen, Director of Community and Outdoor Education.
Good morning. If I had my way, I'd have everybody get up and we do a nice active camp song, but I'm being told we're running long, so I have to talk fast, and I have very little bit of time to talk, so I'm going to be respectful of that time. I've been working with working for Girl Scouts for 17 plus years, and 9 of those years with this beautiful council and legacy council. So for community and outdoor education, getting girls outdoors is important to girls, The Girl Scout Research Institute study, More Than S'mores, came out in 2014, and it's fascinating information about girls and the outdoors. So if you have a moment and have time and you think about it outside of here, I highly suggest checking it out, reading through that. It's fascinating information. Girls who spend time outdoors leads to adults who spend time outdoors and want to take care of their natural surroundings. Our Community and Outdoor Education Department supports 3 main areas. First, we support the volunteer-led community event volunteers. So this is community events that are being held, covering, and these community events, as you know, you're out there, cover all of the GSUSA initiatives. We also have more and more businesses and business owners that are approaching us that want to hold events for girls, both in outdoor and all of the other initiatives. And we also support the 3 Mackinac Island Honor Guard troops that all 3 of them include girls from all over the council. And as Haley said, and Heather referred, wonderful leadership program. And thirdly is, second is our operating of both Camp Hawthorne Hollow and Camp Playfair. So programming improvements that we've had at Camp Hawthorne Hollow this past year, Girls in Resident Camp and the core camps, we have a camp garden and some chickens that go along with, and the correlation between the two. And the girls were able to actually get in there, get their hands dirty, work in the garden. They were able to learn outdoor science and farm to table. And they were able, the girls that were at resident camp, during when many of the vegetables were being harvested, they were able to taste the rewards of their work. So a lot of them walked away with great knowledge that they took back to their troops. At Camp Playfair, when Camp Playfair opens, is April 29th, we will have a new nautical museum. There will also be an outdoor science center, and has already been put in place is we now have an additional gaga ball pit and an additional tetherball for more fun and no waiting. Thirdly, this department also provides outdoor education through council events and series, and we are super excited about what is being rolled out this year. And I'll talk about that in a further slide. But we have our outdoor skills days, our outdoor skill builders, our outdoor skill adventures. And some of our focus is through the first ones we're looking at as far as at the council level is backpacking and our NASA program. We have a volunteer, Amanda Brown, who was sent a few years ago. She was trained through NASA and Girl Scouts, sent by our council, and she is now going to work at training volunteers, troop leaders, to work with girls on the NASA program. And we're building up to a 3-year program with the launch of a telescope. NASA is launching a telescope in October of 2018, and it's going to be streamed, and we're very excited about that. The telescope, the whole base of the telescope, all the 4 sides say Girl Scouts. It's very exciting. So as we have more information and we have a picture, we'll be getting that sort of thing up on the website, so you can check that out at any time. So our achievements as far as in the 2014-15 program year, we developed this new department to support both community and outdoor education events and series. The department included 3 community specialists, 2 outdoor education specialists, 1 camp director, the camp staff, and myself. We added a 3rd community specialist to better support the events and series volunteers with the Girl Scout communities, i.e. the community event coordinators and the community and the event organizers who are running the events. Also to support the development of community events held by community partners, the businesses and the business owners that I mentioned earlier, and to provide a stronger support to our Juliet Girl Scouts and their families. We established outdoor education programming to be able to offer more programming to more girls at less cost right in the communities that they live. We have also developed relationships with businesses and organizations interested in providing programming for girls in outdoor education. I'm sure you saw a lot of the equestrian centers that we had that were offering brand new, that were offering events and series and day camps last year. We also created, last year we had an outdoor education advisory committee made up of GSSEM volunteers who are passionate about getting people outdoors, and I know some of you are here today. The committee developed a 3-year plan and outdoor education programming goals, which this department has begun rolling out as part of the 2015-16 program year, as I mentioned earlier with the outdoor skills. So I want to say thank you to those volunteers that took their time and shared their expertise and were able to help us brainstorm these fabulous outdoor programming ideas that we're now rolling out. Thank you very much for your time. And I also wanted to say a thank you to the volunteers and the older girls that continue to contact me wanting to be part of this and get girls outdoors. We are thankful that for everyone that wants to get in and get their hands dirty and get girls outdoors. So by the numbers, for the 2014-15 program year, we had 23,950 attendees just at community events, council outdoor events, and camp. That's pretty amazing. And that exceeded our projected goal of 16,000. For this year, as of mid-February, we're already past the 12,000 attendee mark. So we are expecting to exceed 25,000 this year. A piece of this is the core camps, which are very, very popular. And as I know Haley mentioned earlier, her group does the get a journey in a day, in a weekend. That's what the core camps are. The troops can come in, the leaders don't have to do anything. The camp staff is running it. They are earning a journey in the weekend, except for the Take Action project. And that's really, the leaders are looking for that. So those are extremely popular. And core camps held February to June. The last 3 years, the registrations are coming in strong. We are getting more registrations earlier and for the past 3 years. And you can see the numbers at the bottom of the screen there. So just for an example, we have 2 core camps right now in May, a Brownie and a junior core camp, full. And they were full by the beginning of March. Don't fret if you're looking for that and you wanted the one in May. There are 2 more in June. There's a Brownie and a junior one in June, which have a lot of availability. So moving on. So national news. Out of the 2014 National Convention, many of you all know that we have had an outcry of outdoor, and new outdoor badges were introduced in 2015, which were voted on and chosen by thousands of girls across the United States, and they're listed up there. Again in 2016, GSUSA is adding 5 additional outdoor badges for girls that have the overall theme of art in the outdoors. So GSUSA is hard at work right now at creating those requirements, creating the outdoor badge, or creating the badge booklets. So new, as of this week, brand new, hot off the presses. GSUSA has told the councils that the badge booklets for these new outdoor will be available for download through the Girl Scout online shop as of June 3rd. Yay! And then the badges will also be available on June 3rd. The badge booklets, the hard copy, if people would rather a hard copy, the badge booklets will be available for purchase in the council shops June 30th. So June 3rd, June 30th. But they're going to be coming pretty quick here, which is awesome. So another piece that we are very excited about, GSSEM was one of 5 councils in the United States, one of 5 to be chosen to receive a new grant from the Richard King Mellon Foundation. We are super excited about this. The grant was secured by GSUSA and the Student Conservation Association. It has 3 pieces to it. One is an outdoor easy button. So GSUSA is developing this. It's going to be attached to the volunteer toolkit, and what that does is a leader can click on that, and it will give them tools and explain how to turn a indoor Girl Scout activity into an outdoor Girl Scout activity. For those that some of us can do that, and it's not, it's every day, but some people it's hard for them to move and create an outdoor activity when they want to get the girls outdoors. So that's what that's going to help do. The second piece to this is GSUSA is creating a 2-week national destination program for girls 15 to 18, and it will help the girls develop provide them with a progressive experience for girls in conservation service, education, and environmental stewardship. The third piece, which we are most excited about, is an outdoor internship program. It's going to provide us, GSSEM, with a full-time intern for 2 years to support our outdoor education goals, and which will only help us further all the goals that we have set in place from the Outdoor Education Advisory Committee, the 3-year plan. This person that's going to be with us will help us further that even more. So we are very excited about that. So I thank you for listening, and go get your girls outdoors. And I'd like to introduce Amanda Kremer. She is it's already moved. She's the Director of Product Program and Retail Operations.
All right, thanks everyone. As Renee mentioned, we are a little behind schedule, so I have been told to talk fast and get to the point, which luckily is my specialty, so we will get through this quickly. So just wanted to start out by noting a few changes. I guess first of all, happy cookie season to everyone. I'm sure a lot of you have cookie booths and other selling opportunities this weekend, so good luck with that. We did have a sort of a major behind-the-scenes change in the summer. The product program and retail operations, the council shops and Camp Trading Post combined, and so all those staff now work together in one department, which I oversee, which had a lot of benefits, again, behind the scenes to GSSEM. Our council shops are most busy in August, September, October, and November, and obviously our product program staff are most busy in February, March, April, this time of year. So that allowed us to reduce the need for temporary staff members that maybe don't work with Girl Scouts or know about our volunteers or our mission, and instead have our council shop staff, part-time employees, instead of reducing their hours in the winter and hiring temporaries, we're able to just keep their hours steady and allow them to support the cookie program, which I think has been very helpful this year. And some other changes that we've had, just the elimination of some restrictive rules, things like allowing troops to find their own cookie booths, and some more behind the scenes things in regards to cookie delivery, contracting with a new company to do that. It seemed to go much better this year, so we're very happy with that. And we've also had some new opportunities in regards to creating selling opportunities. All of you know we have been losing opportunities at Kroger, Walmart, Sam's Club, Lowe's, traditional stores for the past several years. So GSSEM has created a new mall kiosk program at all of the major malls, for the most part, in our council, as well as opening pop-up shops in downtown Detroit, near Campus Martius, and in southwest Detroit. So we hope to continue to expand those opportunities next year. They've gone very well this year, and troops seem to be very happy with those opportunities. In addition, a new cookie booth kit to support them that was given to every troop at cookie delivery, and all the photos I've seen, people are displaying those items proudly, so we're happy that that was a big help. Just a brief overview, our fall sale was very successful this year. It does continue to be a much smaller portion of our programs than the cookie program, but still a strong program nonetheless. We had 600 troops participate in our per girl average. The number of items sold divided by the girls selling increased from 22 to just over 24. In our online magazine program, second year for online only magazine sales, and we saw an increase in that program as well. Overall, the top line, you'll see we did have fewer products sold overall, which we did expect due to some changes with the program, but reduced cost led that program to come out ahead overall. Looking at the cookie program, we are off to a very strong start. We're having a tremendous cookie season, so I hope all of your troops are seeing that in the amount of cookies that you're moving. But currently, we are only about 6% over where we ended the year last year, and we still have, we're only into the second, week of our direct sales. So we're doing fantastic. Yeah, our initial sales were up 10% over last year, so orders that girls take from family and friends, so that's great news. And again, we're having very strong sales through our booths to the general public. That includes all of our booth and direct sale opportunities. So we're very excited about that. And a huge thanks to everyone, especially to our product program operational volunteers and our cookie cupboards, who are moving a huge amount of cookies through their homes and their garages to support the program. So we do not anticipate that we'll have any problem ending the year where we hoped to be. And just a bit about our retail changes. GSSEM did join the National Web Store, which is GSUSA's online web store. So GSSEM became part of that. It's a great quality web store, professional fulfillment. Volunteers can access it 24/7. The order processing is quick and accurate. And you also have opportunities to purchase items from other councils directly through the web store. It is administered by GSUSA. They do a lot of sales for free shipping and things like that. And we're seeing a big increase in our online sales, over $50,000 in gross sales since we went on to the National Web Store. So we're very happy with the service that they're providing, as well as the results of the sales. So this does conclude all of our staff presentations. I know all of us will be available after the meeting if you do have any questions. So at this point, I will turn things back over to Heather.
I just want to say thank you to Denise and her team for a very good update on everything that's going on and all the hard work and great success that the staff is having. Now we're going to move on, and the next person on the agenda is Rick Sundquist, who is the board member and chair of the property task team, who will present his report.
Good morning, Girl Scouts. I also have to move this along quickly, but I have two critical political announcements to make first before my exciting property report. First, for those of you that saw or watched on TV the debate at the Fox Theater, I just want you all to warn your grandparents, your parents, your brothers and sisters, do not watch any more of those debates. I think they violated every concept of the Girl Scout oath, the Boy Scout oath, the Girl Scout law. That's my first comment in my property report. My second, as a board member, your legal counsel, the nonprofits were not allowed to support any particular candidate and so forth, so that's critically important. So all I can say is my wife was fortunate enough to meet the one female candidate yesterday, shook hands with her, said hello. She has beautiful eyes. Anyway, please vote on Tuesday. So, okay, on to my report. First of all, I want to thank Elaine Marcotte, Lisa Morse, Sarah Pobosic, Carol McConnell, Shimon Jude, who have been on our committee since 2009. They do a great job. When we need to meet, we meet. When we need to have calls, we have calls. So thank you very much. Wave your hands. Lisa's in the back. I also like to thank Bill Senstock. He is semi-retired, but he calls me almost every single day from Florida. At some point, I think he's enjoying a beverage of some kind, but he does keep me on track. Okay, we've spent some money on the White Lake Service Center. We've got the Nautical Museum, which is put together. So please go out to White Lake, visit the facility. It's fantastic. You'll enjoy it. Campo Fairwinds, for years we've talked about this. There's 101 acres subject to a reverter parcel. We've now reached an agreement with the Bishop heirs. We are going to return that portion of the property to them. We will still have approximately 380 acres left, although it is all up for sale. We've had quite a time negotiating this reverter situation with them, but very shortly we will be transferring that 101 acres. Detroit Service Center, you probably heard the Fisher Building was sold for $12 million last year. Our lease is up July 31st, 2017. We have been leasing upwards of 29,000 square feet. We only need 12 to 15. Nobody's going to be happier than Denise and Heather that we will be out from under this extraordinary obligation. And that's right. So it's not proper to say we're going to be booted out. We will be leaving voluntarily, perhaps sooner than July of next year. An extraordinary amount of time has been spent by Denise, Bill, and others looking for new space. We've had many, many buildings that we can look at. Right now, we're considering one just east of the Renaissance Center. If that's where we end up, it's just a 3-block walk to the Riverfront Walk, which is absolutely beautiful. About 3 blocks away from the Renaissance Center. It's cool, it's safe, fantastic parking, easy on, easy off from the freeway. Our property committee toured the one building we're thinking of. It's going to be a fantastic move, and hopefully next meeting, a year from now, we are actually there. At our White Lake Service Center, we also have a reverter clause under our existing building. It's been there since the 1980s with Northern Oakland. We've now been presented with this, what we think is a great opportunity. 40 acres will be transferred to Oakland County. Oakland County owns the golf course and other property next door. Those 40 acres are about 85% wetland. They're going to keep it as wetlands. It's part of their wetland inventory. In return, we are being given a 1/4 acre of property, which we have actually been using for about 25 years, where we are located our dumpster. That's what you call clearing up title. But more importantly, the reverter clause will be eliminated. So we will never lose the White Lake Service Center to Oakland County, which is the risk that we've always been concerned about. So that purchase agreement has been negotiated. We hope to close in about 4 weeks. Now, for you girls who have homework and so forth, I turned my homework in late, so I have actually 3 or 4 more slides which don't appear here. So don't do that. So we heard a little bit about resolving conflict situations. We had a little conflict at the Clinton Township Service Center. So we attempted to meet, we attempted to sit down, we attempted to communicate, but that didn't work. So we sued our neighbor for a very small amount of money. But the good news is, once the judge forced us into a room, we did employ some really good conflict resolution measures. And we walked away happy. So did the person we sued. We came to an agreement, and we've resolved the driveway issue. So, quickly, Camp Industry, we had an auction. Bill Senstock spent days there. Remarkably, over $100,000 was brought in. Many of the items sold, and these are 5, 10, 20-year-old items, were sold for an amount in excess of what you could go to the store and buy it for brand new. So he did a super job. Lastly, Camp Metamora. We 2 years ago at this point, we had the Batman versus Superman movie, which was filmed in part there. So March 25th, big grand opening. Please go see the movie. We do get some memorabilia. We negotiated that in the contract. I don't know what we're going to get. I'm hoping it's super, and we can we can keep it. Anyway, if you see a scene with a house on the lake, that's our lake. If you see a camp trailer in the woods, those are our woods. So if you're at the movie, oh yeah, tall guy, Mike. One of Mike in the back room here was actually an extra in the movie. We're hoping to make the cut. Did you? He doesn't know, so we shall see. So anyway, if you see those scenes, jump up in the movie and start cheering. Any questions? Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you, Rick. And now I'm going to introduce Diane Young, who's our treasurer and chair of the Finance Committee, to give our annual finance report.
Thank you. I was told to make it quick, too, so I'll just do 2 thumbs up. So, yeah, things are going very well. I will be very brief. The big thing on this slide is the termination of the pension. I know we've mentioned it several times before, and I can't thank Rhonda and her pension committee for all the hard work and the use of resources. We took very seriously that all the people that were due a pension got their pension. So no one was shorthanded at all. And the big takeaway for us also, 2 takeaways, is there's less meetings now, so we're very pleased. And also, if any of you have an old pension with an old company or your spouse does, make sure they know that you've moved 10 times so that they can find you. So those are big takeaways for us from closing out the pension. I'll just go quickly through some of the numbers. Total revenue, that's just the money coming in, was slightly down, not much from 2015, but in 2014, as Rick just mentioned, we did have Batman movie revenue, and we also sold a building in 2014, so we had a higher number in 14 compared to 2015. And the net asset changing is because we did write a 7-figure check for the pension. So it was over $1 million we paid to close out the pension. And then we had to idle the camps and that impacts the financial statements. Financial results, so where do we have our net worth statement? Cash, investments, buildings, things like that. You'll see that it's gone down a little bit because, again, we had to write some pretty big checks in 2015. But then when you see the liabilities, right, our debts, we have a big fat 0 on one of those lines now. So that is fantastic. Great job. And then we still have over 9 months in reserves, okay? So that is fabulous. So we are in a very strong position. Where does the money come from? This hasn't changed drastically from year to year, so I won't spend a tremendous amount of time. But of course, the cookie sales, so keep selling those cookies, folks. The merchandise sales, the council reorg for the shops moving online. Everything has been moved to make things as efficiently to make everything as efficient as possible. Of course, we'd like to grow some of these revenue areas like grants and donors and things like that, and we'll be working on that going forward. But our focus from the Finance Committee has always been how do we get as many resources to the girls and keep on the mission. Where does the money go? You know, troop support, camps, all that's fantastic. Only 12% of our revenue goes towards management and fundraising. That's a fabulous, fabulous number. So that means we're very efficient and we're making sure our dollars are going to support the girls, and that's just why I'm so excited to be part of this group. And we use our resources wisely, right? It's in our Girl Scout promise. And we have to thank all of you, because if we had to hire all the if we had to pay for the people to do all the programming that you guys provide, it would be a big number. So thank you to all your volunteers. Where does that $4 go when you sell a box of cookies? It goes to troop support, rewards for the girls. It goes to the camp, and of course we have to pay for the cookie. And I have to really commend Denise Miniletti and Amanda from the cookie and the CFO. They negotiated. We just approved it. But the cookie contract for the next couple of years, and they did a commodity clause, which means that they can't raise the price of the bakery cost for us. And I just wanted to mention that sugar went up in one day last week 22%. So our cookie cost isn't going to go up, but sugar did. So good job, key negotiating, ladies. I love it. And the council over the years has made significant reduction. If you notice, there's 2 cents up there for unpaid cookie balances. That means that someone that sold a box of cookies in a troop didn't turn the money over, right? When these councils merged in 2009, that number was $375,000 of unpaid money from the cookie sale. $375,000. Last year it was $35,000. That's a huge reduction. So congratulations to Denise and her team for streamlining those processes. Thank you. And then, of course, this is the functional expense percentage. I won't spend a lot of time, but basically, as I mentioned before, when the money's going for the girls, not to just the management and the staff, so that's fabulous. Keep up that good work. And the committee will continue to work at all the things that we do. We constantly are looking at insurance and every contract and making sure that everything is as efficient as possible. And these gals can make Thomas Jefferson on a nickel scream from squeezing it so tight. So I have to commend them on that. But we as a committee will continue to oversee that process. So thank you. If you have any questions, you see me after the presentations. What? Yeah. Just applaud. That's good stuff. Thank you.
Doesn't say anything. I'm going to let Michael. Okay. All right. Thank you, Diane. Next, I'm going to introduce Peter Keating, who's the chair of our Board Development Committee, and will present the Board Development Committee report.
Okay. Well, thank you. It's a pleasure to be with you again. Remember, I fell off the stage last year, so they moved me in one. We'll try not to do that. Before voting on the bylaw amendments and the proposed slate, I'd like to introduce the members of the 2015-2016 Board Development Committee that are present. I know in the back, Lisa Morris, if you'll please stand, wave. And then I don't think with us today, but also very important on the committee, are April Donaldson and Melanie Davis. So it's been my privilege to serve as the Board Development Committee Chair, and I want to assure you that we've worked very long and hard and consciously on behalf of you all and the best interests of the Girl Scout and the Council in nominating and soliciting members of the Board of Directors. So now will the delegates and other voting council members please refer to page 27 of your workbook for the bylaws amendment. Okay, if you're there Are there any questions that I can answer about the amendment we're going to vote on? Okay, seeing no questions, we'll go back to Heather and she'll conduct the voting.
Okay. The first order of business will be to vote on the bylaws amendment that is on page 27. The background information for this change was included in the workbook. The Board Development Committee is recommending the following amendment to the bylaws. Amend the Girl Scouts of Southeastern Michigan Bylaws, Article 7, Meetings, Section 1, Annual Meeting A, Scheduling, by striking out March 31st and inserting April 30th. The corporation shall conduct an annual meeting of the corporation membership by April 30th of each year at a date, time, and place determined by the Board of Directors. This vote requires 2/3 to vote to pass and will require use of the pink voting card. So please find your pink voting card. Should look like this. Is everyone ready to vote? Okay. Those in favor of accepting the amendment, please raise your voting card. Okay, please lower your card. Those opposed to the amendment, please raise your voting card. Okay. There are 2/3 in the affirmative, and the amendment to the bylaws is adopted. And now I'm going to turn it back over to Pete.
Okay, now if the delegates will again refer to their page 27 of the workbook for the nominating motion for the single slate of candidates. As you know, that we had no nominations within 10 days of the Board of Directors, so we'll continue with an uncontested election. Nominees, would you please stand and remain standing as I call your names? And I'm going to ask you to please hold your applause until they're all introduced. The Board Development Committee nominates the following officers and directors at large for approval by the delegates at the 2016 annual membership meeting. Officer Board of Directors, one to be elected for a 3-year term of office, 2016 to 2019, for Board Treasurer Diane Young. Directors at large to the Board of Directors, 5 to be elected for terms of office, 3-year terms of office, 2016 to 2019. Von Seal Brown Miller, Christine Eady, Peter Keating, Elaine Marcotte, and Doreen Oko. Madam Chair, these are the persons selected by the Board Development Committee for nomination in today's election. We thank all of you for accepting the nomination and agreeing to serve the council in these important positions. The nominees may now be seated. Are there any questions I can answer about the Board Development Committee process? The slate of delegates, I'd be happy to talk to that. And just a final word, this year we'll begin the transition to, as you know, we've been 7 years, so we're beginning to see a lot of our early board members transition off. So at any time, if you have an interest or have someone you think would be valuable for serving the council and the Board of Directors, please let myself, Denise, or Heather know, or Christine of our council staff, and we'll be happy to talk to them. Thank you.
Oh, Pete needs his card back. Can you pass that down? Thanks, Peter, and thanks to the entire Board Development Committee for a job well done. The workbook confirming the nominating committee slate was mailed on February 4th, 2016, which was 30 days before the annual meeting. The bylaws require that additional nominations must be made in writing at least 10 days prior to the annual meeting. And as Pete had mentioned earlier, there were no nominations received from the delegates, and therefore we are going to proceed with the election. Our bylaws require a ballot vote unless the election is uncontested, in which case the vote may be taken by voice. Since this election is uncontested, the vote will be taken by voice. Is everyone ready to vote? I think I'm going to use the cards just because it will help me. to make sure that we have enough voting. And so all those in favor of the slate as presented by the Board Development Committee, please raise your voting card. Any opposed? I'm sorry, please lower your voting card. Those opposed, please raise your voting card. Okay. There is a majority in the affirmative, and I declare that the slate has therefore been elected. All right. Those who were just elected as new to the Board of Directors, please stand, as well as Rupali Lunani, who was appointed to fill a vacant board chair back in January of 2016. All right. On behalf of the council, I welcome you to your positions and to the Board of Directors. There are girls who are now going to come meet you and pass out, present you with a new Girl Scout membership pin. They're coming right now. Oh, I'm sorry, just for Christine and Rupali, because they're new board members. Sorry for the confusion on that. Rupali. We'd like to thank everyone. Please have a seat. A round of applause for the members. We would like to thank everyone for your continued support, the continuing board members, the board committee members, the council delegates, and the alternates. I want to congratulate all of you who were just elected, as well as those of you who are continuing to serve. At this time, I would also like to acknowledge the board member in this case, who is retiring, which is Julianne Brzezinski. Is Julianne in the room? Julianne, can you please stand and maybe come to the front? Can you come to the front? It has been a great privilege and pleasure for all of us who have worked with Julianne for many years now. And we would like to thank her for her service to the Girl Scouts of Southeast Michigan and present her with a token of appreciation. Thank you again, Julianne. Okay, and now we're going to show a video about our 2015 Young Woman of Distinction.
Ever since I was young, I've always been a reader, and literacy is something that I think is necessary to succeed in life, and so I wanted to give people the same opportunities that I had, since they didn't have the materials to do so. So my Gold Award project was donating books and school supplies to needy parishes in Kumasi, South Africa, to the parishes of St. Joseph and St. Teresa. And I added on to the project by doing literacy kits. And so each grade level would get different flashcards and journal entries and maps with interactive features that they would be able to use in the classroom. And the whole point was to get the parents involved in education, because a lot of parents assume that since children will be doing manual labor jobs, they won't need to have an education past the primary level. So my goal was to get them involved and excited about education. And I was hoping I could just impact, the kids in the schools, and that their future and their lives would be impacted by it. But then it ended up being so much more than that, and I was able to impact the lives of not only the children but their parents, and that would in turn help them to get a better job and have a better future.
Now it is my privilege to introduce to you to the amazing young woman that you just met in the video. Natalie, can you please come up and say a few words about how Girl Scouting has impacted your life?
So when I joined Girl Scouts as a 5-year-old and put on my Daisy vest for the first time, I never expected that it would have such a large impact on my life. I joined as a way to make friends and connect with kids my age. However, what began as a fun after-school activity soon turned into so much more. In the beginning, scouting was all about forming friendships, completing skills to earn badges, and of course, selling cookies. While doing craft projects and going to camp with my troop was fun, I realized Girl Scouts offers incredible opportunities for leadership and service that I could not pass up. Over the years, I've helped organize activities for a girl-run camp, did a service project for the Humane Society, and eventually completed a Take Action project sending books, school supplies, and literacy kits to parishes in Ghana, Africa. Although the Gold Award was the culmination of all the skills I've learned through scouting, I would not have been able to complete such a daunting task if it weren't for the skills I learned along the way. Looking at it from a different perspective, I now realize how critical the skills are that I learned as a younger Girl Scout. What at first glance might just seem like earning badges is actually a way for girls to try new skills that they otherwise might never encounter. The songs and games we played in groups at camp actually taught us how to work as a team and communicate, skills that are critical in life. I do not feel like I could have achieved what I did if it weren't for these skills I acquired at a young age. Additionally, there were so many other incredible opportunities I had that would not have been possible without Girl Scouts. If I never joined Girl Scouts, I certainly wouldn't have been able to spend the night at the planetarium to look at the stars or have hands-on experience working with animals at the zoo. In one specific instance, my troop had brunch at the Grand Hotel on Mackinac Island. The second we put on our vests, we received a sense of honor and high regard for being Girl Scouts. This speaks volumes for how Girl Scouts are known as young women who make a difference. Finally, it seems like in middle school, the largest amount of girls drop out of scouting, often due to too many other commitments. However, I feel that this point was vital in my Girl Scout experience, for it was when I started applying the skills I learned into the real world. At this point, I started taking what I learned and using it towards volunteer and service opportunities. Although this is an age a lot of girls drop, I would encourage them to continue, for they will develop leadership and communication skills that will benefit their future. I hope this message can keep spreading so girls will continue to join Girl Scouts as a way to be of service, develop critical skills, and be an asset to their community. Thank you.
Thank you, Natalie. That was truly inspiring to hear about your journey through Girl Scouting and how much you have gained from that experience. Okay, is there any new business that we need to address? And before I open the floor, may I remind you that the corporate management of the council is under the guidance and direction of the board of directors, and any motion covering the corporate business and affairs shall be stated as a request to the board of directors. Also, speakers must identify themselves by name and district, and only council members may speak. Is there any business to be raised? Okay. Hearing none. A couple of reminders before we do our closing flag ceremony. First of all, there is a meeting evaluation form that we ask that you fill out and leave in the back, in the box. There's a marked box outside on your way out of the meeting. A reminder that the volunteer recognition event immediately follows this meeting in this building. I'm not sure which direction that way. But it's something you must have registered to attend prior to today. A couple other reminders is that the National Convention in 2017 is coming up a year or so from now, and it will be nearby this time in Columbus, Ohio. And so keep a watch out on the GSSEM website early this fall for more information about how to become a national delegate. And also there is a museum exhibit set up out in the hallway to the right. And so if you haven't had a chance yet to stop by and see that, please take that opportunity before you leave. So with that, we will now have the closing flag ceremony conducted again by the Girl Advisory Board members.
Girl Scouts attention. Please stand while we retire the flags. Color Guard advance. Color guard, please honor your flag. Color guard, retire the colors. Color guard dismissed. Thank you.
All right. Again, on behalf of the council, I would like to thank all of the girls for their fine work this morning. Since all of the business on the agenda has been completed, this meeting will be adjourned. The 7th annual meeting of the Girl Scouts of Southeast Michigan is officially adjourned, and thank you again for coming.